Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to MotorMotion E-Series, where we continue the Mercury Walch TCR Cup, Season 4. We're through half distance and we're going to be ending out our American leg with round 6 tonight at Trial Mountain. We are super excited for this round. The battle between the Giants, Gridline Racing and me, Cooke, is heating up. Who will take the points at a maximum level and take themselves into the lead of the Drivers' Championship and Teams' Championship tonight? Of course, Mercury Walch, proud sponsors of the MotorMotion E-Series TCR Cup. For all your commercial printing, digital printing, direct mail, label printing, large format printing and packaging, please head to www.mercurywalch.com.au. Our calendar looks like this: 5 rounds behind us, and the last round now of the American leg, round 6 at Trial Mountain, for your viewing pleasure tonight, both Lobby 1 and Lobby 2. 23 laps, soft tyres are required, and this is a wonderful track to go racing on. We saw it in the Manufacturer Masters earlier in the year. This track has been present in Gran Turismo all the way since its inception, and Gran Turismo 1. Nearly every single game has had it. Now reformatted, 3.98 kilometers, that's 2.47 miles, 15 corners for the drivers to navigate, and up and down we will go. Ryan Spann in the lead of the championship on 294 points for me, Cooke, followed closely by Scott Taylor for Gridline Racing. The driver standings are absolutely on fire right now, with the top 2 separated by only 2 points. Nick Pfaff for Astor Racing has made a late surge and finds himself in 3rd place on 270, followed by Mark Pacheco for Gridline Racing on 264. Luke Stone for Team Capital on 258, only 6 points away from that top 4. Then it is Campbell Knowles for Team 55 on 250 points. It's close enough in the bottom 3 there, in the top 6, and the top 3 certainly close. So we're going to see who comes out on top tonight. In the team standings, it is Gridline Racing on top, but not by as much as last time out. Me, Cooke, Lightning Motorsport, Team 55, Astor, and Team Capital, the remaining top 6. Let's hand it over to today's commentary team for Split 1. Well, welcome in, and we have gone back to the right screen. There we go. Welcome in to Lobby 1 coverage here, Season 4, Round 6 of the Mercury Walch TCR Cup. My name is George Cooke. I'll be leading you through commentary today in Lobby 1, and joining me in the commentary box as our co-commentator, it is Nick Pautasso, here to lull us into a false sense of security and then give us the information that we need to really make this an exciting round of racing. It's the 2 giants again, Nick. It's me, Cooke, and Gridline in the same lobby.
Yes, good evening, George, and good evening, viewers. Welcome to Trial Mountain, one of a staple here on Gran Turismo. As George said, it's been on every single game except for Gran Turismo Sport in the previous version of the PlayStation 4. So very exciting to see Trial Mountain back. Had a lot of track variations, so the back end of the circuit is not really as antique as it used to be in the old previous games. We used to have a yeet chicane, now we have a bit of a slow chicane where the drivers are navigating that tight and awkward hairpin in the last couple of corners. So it's all about sending those moves down the inside, trying to hold it around the outside, compromises the run on the straight line, but at the same time we have a lot of contenders here that will be, well, I would say, really going for these moves here, George. We're in the second half of the season. I'm looking forward to what's going to happen this year to finish off the TCR Cup for Season 4. Gridline, me, Cooke. It's a spicy championship as it is, and as we saw there in the standings, there's nothing in it. It's only a small lapse of concentration from one of the drivers to hand the other one the advantage.
Exactly, and it's these kinds of rounds that really will show the strength of both these teams. Their strategy has been on point, especially when they're in other lobbies. They've dominated completely in those lobbies. When they come back together, it seems to be me, Cooke, with a little bit of an edge over Gridline Racing, but the points in the team's championship seem to say otherwise. And I have a lot of familiar memories at this place. It's absolutely fantastic. That corner cut at the last chicane in Gran Turismo 3, that was how I won races. That's how I got money in the game. That's how I got a leg up in the offline mode. So it was absolutely fantastic. I love it. Let's head it over to our quali results, and it is going to be Ryan Spann on top. Close qualifying at the top there, especially in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Ryan Spann with a 158.734. Scott Taylor with a 159.089 for Gridline Racing. And then we have the magic happening. A exact same split time for Andrew Scott and Michael Brill, third and fourth place. It's a 1:59.097. Amazing. You hardly get to see this.
Oh, absolutely, and that's some great qualifying action there. 8/1000ths of a second separating Scott Taylor all the way down to Michael Brill. That's an exceptional qualifying. It had to be something about the slipstreaming, probably some team games really helping with that slipstream on the back straight and on that main straight. Potentially could have been the case. Mark Pacheco's name's not up there in the top four, so there's going to be a bit crucial for him to climb up through the order to get into this battle fight between me, Cougar, and Gridline Racing. But Michael Brill, a surprise package last time out of Road Atlanta, getting his maiden podium here at the TCR Cup, sponsored by Mercury Walch. He's in there. He's very, very close, and we can see there with the representative that time he's got on Ando Scott. It could be anyone's game. Lightning Motorsport maybe have found a tweak in their car, so hopefully they can translate to race pace.
Yeah, Michael Brill has been a standout, in fact, in the last couple of races, and he's been making consistent progress throughout the season. Great to see Lightning Motorsport up there, and he's going to be a bit of a cat amongst the pigeons with regards to this fight. Fifth place is actually Mark Pacheco, so he will be in this battle. The question's going to be, can he get past Michael Brill? Will he be able to get up there and challenge Andrew Scott? Will Andrew Scott be on the back of Scott Taylor? And will Scott have one of those legendary starts that he is oh so well known for and manage to find his way past Ryan Spann at the beginning? Will Ryan Spann be able to hold on? Lots and lots of questions, of course, for us to answer in this lobby. Some predictions, Nick. What are you thinking? I mean, we've got two of the biggest teams in the championship. They're starting basically right on top of each other on the grid. That first corner is really spicy as we head through into the tunnel for the first time.
Well, it's the Battle of the Titans. Ryan Spann, the championship leader, and Scott Taylor only 2 points behind, starting P1 and P2. It's going to be very close. Ando, who is a champion in himself in the TCR Cup, he's going to be one to keep an eye on. He's going to watch himself come down from third place all the way up towards the front, and he's going to be really putting the pressure on Scott Taylor. But I think if it's going to be a prediction here, I have a feeling that I feel like Ando can definitely go back-to-back here. He's going to try and see if he can get 3 wins on next to his name, as well as his teammate with Ryan Spann. So anytime me, Cougar, have come into a lobby, they've always run, and can he keep that form continuing for me, Cougar?
Yeah, and I'm thinking, for Ryan Spann, it's a critical time for him. He's got Scott Taylor, his team's championship rival, right behind him. They're separated by 2 points, and they're right there starting on the same row of the grid. So Ryan Spann into that first corner, I believe he will have the outside line. He's going to need to get a really good launch off the line, or he's going to be in trouble. Scott might just come on through the inside line through turn 1, 2, 3 into the tunnel, and through the exit of the tunnel is absolutely key. And if he can get an advantage there, if Scotty can get an advantage through that section, he'll find himself in a really, really good spot. The teams today in round 6, we've got Gridline Racing, Hassel One Motorsport, Lightning Motorsport, me, Cougar, of course, Team Capital, and we do have some news that has come on through, because it does say for our round 6 Trial Mountain that Yugen Global will be participating. Unfortunately, they will not be. Yugen Global, unfortunately, is out of the competition. They have been removed for a number of reasons that we won't go into here, but the admins have come to a decision. They will be replaced by Jamco Racing Team, who will be headed up by Matthew Joinson and Tony Griffin. So we'll see them in the lobby today, racing under a new brand, and that is Jamco Racing. Nick, I think it is time for us to head out on track. So let's get going. Let's go to track. Here we are. This is the crucial start for Ryan Spann. Gridline Racing Scotty there on the inside line. Critical for him to get a good start. And we are racing. Away we go. And me, Cougar, doesn't get the launch it needs. Looks like Gridline Racing Scotty is away to a great start, starting on the racing soft tyres. Critical for him at this early stage of the race. And Ando's got a good start. Dubzito trying his best to get involved in this as well. And through goes Scotty into the lead already. Ryan didn't get the start that he needed. He's going to try the inside line, but through goes Scotty yet again. Closes that door right in the face of the Me Cougar car. Through the tunnel we go, and it is a jam-packed start as they try to jostle for position. Who's going to come out on top? Spann not finding a way to get on the inside line through the exit of the tunnel, and finds himself solidly in second place on the racing softs as well. Ando's had a great start at the beginning of this. He's holding on to third place nicely. Pacheco not finding a way past Michael Brill at the beginning of this race into the tricky left-hander before the straight. This is where speed matters, and of course the slipstream going to come into effect and play a huge role in this race today.
Wow, what a start by Scott Taylor. They just got the absolute perfection launch there from the start of the race. As soon as the lights went green, he just got on the throttle and just had a crazy reaction time. That reaction time was so fast for Scott Taylor. He's done a good job, but now the big Cougar boys are playing a bit of a tactical game here. They're bump drafting each other to try and close up to Scott Taylor as they come through the bowl for the first time of 23 laps around Trail Mountain. But it's still single file here. Dub Zeta still ahead of Mark Pacheco, so not able to capitalize just yet, but the Me Cougar boys are solid P2, P3. They're going to have to find a way to come up with a different plan to get past Scott Taylor, because that was a brilliant start. And it's a half-second penalty already for Scott Taylor. And I have to say, George, the penalty line is coming up right now onto this pit straight here. All the cars are bunched up on this opening lap here. He's going to get absolutely swamped, potentially drop behind his teammate.
Oh, that's a huge, unfortunate accident there for him, and I don't know quite which corner he ended up cutting, but whichever one it was, as we do see Ryan Spann touch the barrier. There's the slowdown right there. Here come the Me Cougar cars. They're going to go past, literally line astern, and that's going to be an easy overtake for the most part, and Gridline Racing Scotty is going to have to fall back into that third position. He needs his teammate there, Nick. He needs Mark Pacheco to make some progress in this race. At the moment, Dubzito in there on the racing soft tyres as well. Pacheco starting on the racing softs as well, but he needs to find this overtake. He needs to help his teammate, and Gridline Scotty he needs that slipstream help. He needs that bump draft. Otherwise, these Me Cougar chaps are going to start running away at the beginning of this race. And of course, we know how good they are on tyres, so don't expect them to be making any silly mistakes throughout this race, as we see Ando go purple and Scotty just starting to fall off the back ever so slightly from these chaps. He'll probably have a chance down in the long straight, though.
Yeah, and look at Michael Brill. He's got a lot of pace there. He just had a bad exit there coming onto the back straight. He's going to get under pressure from Mark Pacheco, but that Lightning Motorsport has got pace. But Mark Pacheco right now, reading the rear part number of that rear wing from the Lightning Motorsport, is going to try and put the car down onto the inside. It's got enough slipstream, but can he slam the brakes harder than Michael Brill? As we're about to see here, there's a bit of straight line speed there coming from the Lightning Motorsport car, sends it down the inside. An authoritative move there by Mark Pacheco, gets the move done, and that is Gridline's Mark Pacheco up into P4. Now he's going to get that assistance to help Gridline Scotty to get up into P2 and P1, but he's still holding on, Scott Taylor. So Michael Brill down to P5 and Mark Pacheco up into P4, and these guys are creating a nice gap amongst each other there between the next car in P6. That is Luke Stone for Team Capital. He's a fair way back amongst this field here, but he's going to try and have to work pretty hard there, because it's split up into two groups at the moment. Between the top 5, one group, and then the next group is from 6 onwards. So going to be interesting to see what the strategy is amongst our drivers here, what they can master up here, especially for Luke Stone, who's been on some good form. But it's all about the front row and this team battle. Me Cougar 1 and 2, Gridline Racing 3 and 4, and then a surprising Lightning Motorsport and Michael Brill in P5.
Fantastic, yeah. As you said before, it is the battle of the giants today, and right now Ryan Spann and Me Cougar are on top of Scotty and Gridline Racing, and they'll obviously want to keep it this way, but these Gridline Racing chaps have got a lot of pace. There's been some bit of a slide into the left-hander, through under the tunnel we go, and Scotty might be able to take a little bit of advantage of that. Ando making an uncharacteristic mistake in that 787 Mobile. But I tell you what, he'll recover nicely, and Ryan Spann is starting to build that gap. They just need to keep on working together. But as you said, 5 drivers starting to escape from the rest of the field. Luke Stone doing well. Tony Griffo is the lead driver for Jamco at the moment, followed by Chris Farapapa in P8, and Ryan Spann also holds that fastest lap of a 1:59.255. The question I'm going to ask is, I think Me Cougar and Gridline Racing have tended towards the similar setup of the car. Clearly both got quite good top speed. In fact, honestly, even in the slipstream, it looks pretty much even Stevens, as we see Ando take yet another wide line on entry. Scotty just doing the psychological thing and trying to throw it a little bit up the inside, just to maybe put a bit of pressure on Andrew. But this is fantastic racing. It's eye-catching stuff. And really, in the terms of the championship, this is going to be a real scrap towards the end. Still 20 laps to go in this race, and they will need to jump onto another set of tyres at some point. We'll start talking strategy a little bit later on in this race. Keep an eye on that wind direction as well, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a tailwind going into turn 1 and then all the way down to the back end, with the tailwind going into the back straight. Sorry, headwind going onto the pit straight as the drivers are coming up onto the pit straight right now to complete lap 3 or 4. So they will be able to send the car a little bit more aggressive into the fast chicane in turns 1 and 2. And then that tailwind going onto the back straight, it doesn't really help so much with the slipstream because all cars are quite equal. You get that little bit of a push down that back straight. It doesn't really help the driver behind to get that slipstream advantage, as we saw with Mark Pacheco trying it a little, struggling to get past Dubzito on that back straight. But obviously with the tunnel blocking this, we see Scott Taylor, whoa, very aggressive down on the inside, almost made a move there, and Scott catching him by surprise there. Scotty Taylor, after losing that P1 with a half-second penalty, is out for revenge to try and get himself up towards the front again. But the tailwind going onto this back straight here is really important. You have to get right underneath that rear wing, like we saw with Pacheco and Dubzito. But just running a little bit wide is that gridline racer car. He's lost all that time there to Ando Scott, losing kilometers an hour, while Ando's right underneath the rear wing of Ryan Spann. And that can be crucial when it comes to the end of the race, trying to work together as a team. And Mark Pacheco, unfortunately, I think, has left it a little bit too late here. But the pace that Scott Taylor here, the top end, is now starting to pick up a little bit. He's actually finding something. So it's a bit hard to judge here, George, to see who's got the straight line speed, who's got the overall package between these two cars, because I think they're all even.
Yeah, it might honestly come down to tyre management, fuel management, going to be key here today as well. So strategy, execution, and the TCR Cup, it's the thinking man's game. And I tell you what, these teams have been doing a lot of thinking as Ando's rear tyres come unstuck yet again. The entry in the corners doesn't look particularly stable for Ando right now, unfortunately, but he's still managing to hold on, and they're playing the slipstream game very, very well at the moment. Need to work with your teammate, of course, and that mistake from Scotty, as we see Ryan Spann not particularly comfortable on the exit of the final couple of corners. Does manage to close up the gap a little bit between him and Ando, and that might be on purpose just to get this bump draft going yet again. And I've also noticed that Scotty does seem to be quicker through and under the tunnel, so that's where he's got the advantage. He might be using a little bit more tyres than the guys ahead, but that's going to be that might pay dividends if he can get that track position and execute the strategy correctly.
Yeah, and on board with Scott Taylor, we're watching Ando's car's behavior. As you said, it doesn't really look nice. It's really understeering on the entry, and then it's just starting to hit the apex, a very late apex. As we saw with Scott Taylor there, really kiss the apex through the tunnel there. So you can see Ando running the wide line, getting that late apex, while Scott Taylor can just maintain that inside line throughout the whole time. That's where he's starting to close up the most. So he needs a really good run coming into this tunnel, onto this back straight, and needs to cut it as much as he can. And it looks like it's sort of there. Yeah, it looks like a nice line there by Scott Taylor, and now it's all about that straight line speed. But I feel like Ando's car's a little bit unsettled at this moment of time. Lap 5 of 23, maybe a little bit of a setup change will be needed. And when it comes into the pit lane, maybe a bit of a brake balance for his car, potentially the force feedback, or even a control sensitivity to be able just to help him point the car a little bit more towards the inside and just try not to lose the rear end, because on a rear end, losing the rear end on a front wheel drive car is quite impossible to do, but it is doable. And we can see there with Ryan Spann there losing the rear end of the car just slightly, closing up is Ando Scott on his teammate, and Scott Taylor right behind. So very even pace there, and again just missed the apex there, Ando Scott. So I think the Cooke guys are just starting to come a bit under pressure here, because Scott Taylor is looking in their mirrors, and he can just say, I'm right here, you boys make a mistake, one missed apex, I'm pouncing.
What I'm thinking here is Mark Pacheco, if he could catch up to Scotty, that could be a really good situation for gridline racing. They'll be able to do a little bit of bump drafting, just push the car ahead a little bit, could open up an opportunity, because it does seem to be even Stevens for the most part. Ando's getting the best exit out of the final corner, then Ryan Spann just dives away as the dirty air comes into effect through this first few corners. So Mark Pacheco, if he was able just to catch up just that little bit to Scotty, we could see this battle evolve somewhat yet again. Ando just through the tunnel, not as quick as Scott Taylor. Just looking through the tyre amounts at the moment, Ryan Spann, out of this top three, he is the one with the worst tyres at the moment. And also, interestingly, the rear tyres actually taking a little bit more of a bruising than we would typically see on these Honda Civics. So this track is particularly nasty for the tyres from what I can tell. And we'll see if Mark Pacheco can actually make some progress. He's got reasonably good tyre life at the moment. He's been saving fuel, so out of the top four, Pacheco has got the fuel advantage, so this could be game on after the first pit stops. Let's just run through the field ever so quickly. It is Michael Brill in 5th place, and we've got Luke Stone, who's edged out a little bit of a gap over the other group that he was involved in, so unfortunately for him, running in no man's land at the moment in the 2 minutes. Then it's Hogan in P7, followed by the brand new Jamco Racing team. It is Griffo, the second driver in there. Team leader Matthew Joynson a couple of positions behind. Is he going to look for a send down the inside line of that long left-hander? He is, but good outside pace there from Hogs does allow him to defend the position, and 0.007 delta on that sector. 007, excellent, love to see it. Behind them, of course, Chris Farapapa in the number 35, and he's going to be chasing these two down to see what he can do. Matthew Joynson, Jamco Racing leader, in there with the Black Dog Institute, by the way, fantastic charity that for mental health. They do incredible work, so great to see the sponsorship coming through for the Jamco Racing team. And in last place, it is Mark Hasseldine in the Shell Livery number 16 car. That is my favorite number to run with. So all respects to him, and that is your grid at the moment, missing one driver at the moment on the grid. Back to the top, and it's kind of still the same position as it was last lap.
Yeah, but it looks like Scott Taylor's lost a bit of time on that previous lap there. He was underneath the rear wing of Ando Scott going into the tunnel, but between that last sector and going onto the pit straight, he's lost time. But you can just see there, he's really picking the pace back up. It's just so the first couple of sectors, Scotty seems to be really, really strong and working to try and stick with the Me Cougar boys, but it's just that final sector, he's just not able to find that sweet spot just yet. And that's where he got his half-second penalty as well, we're reminding our viewers. Where that's where he got his half-second penalty, so taking either a bit too much entry or just running a little bit too wide on the exit, getting that half-second penalty. And like you mentioned there with Mark Pacheco, I feel like he's going to be a bit of a secret assassin here. He's saving all the fuel he can. He's going to try and save as much tires as he can. I have a feeling that he can definitely run a potential undercut. If I was Mark Pacheco, I would say you're not with this pack at the moment. Scott Taylor, nearly sends the car right the inside. Ryan Spann runs wide, and that's Ando into the race lead. So a little bit of deja vu for Ryan Spann, and he's going to potentially lose the spot to Scott Taylor down the inside. He tries, no, he doesn't. He sticks behind. So that's first to third. George, that's a bit of a shock there.
That is a big shake-up, and of course for Ryan Spann, we knew he was maybe struggling a little bit on the tyres. He's unfortunately allowed his team championship rival to go ahead of him. And actually, it might be a bit of a planned event there. Both our Me Cougar drivers jumping into the pits at the exact same time. So that means Scotty is in the lead of the race, followed by Mark Pacheco, followed by Michael Brill, who'll come through that couple of last corners in a few moments' time. So it is now a 1-2 for Scotty and Mark Pacheco and Gridline Racing. So some tactics early on. Are we staring down a two-stop strategy here from the guys? Now, I will redirect our attention slightly in a moment, but I'm getting some flashbacks to Gopi Mahindran's strategy in the Ferrari in Manufacturer Masters earlier in the year, where everyone else was opting for the longer run, the one stop in the race. Turned out the two-stop on the soft tyres all the way through was the key thing to be doing. And of course, today it's the mandatory tyre, it's the soft tyre. So right now, they've completed their mandatory requirements. Why wouldn't you two-stop?
Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to say, with the Gridline boys on lap 8 of 23, if they pit the end of this lap, they're right in that number. They're George Dubzito, Luke Stone, Hogan, Griffo, Farapapa, and Joynson in the top 8 at this current stage. They're in that window to be able to come into this pit lane and really just hold on to these tyres. And the fuel is going to work very nicely. The Me Cougar boys, as they come out of the pit lane right now, line astern, they are going to potentially be doing 20, the next probably stint I'm thinking is about lap 15 will be the next time we see the Me Cougar boys in the pit lane, and then they're going to try their best to get to lap 23. It's a little bit of a stretch there, but the tyres aren't looking really good on the Me Cougar cars from what we've normally seen them. There's a little bit more tyre wear coming from this Me Cougar team, so a little bit strange to see what's going on in the R&D departments when it comes to the tyre wear around here. Obviously, it's quite a harsh track. A lot of windy corners, a lot of slow, fast sweepers as well, a lot of stop-starts, braking. It's really just all about the momentum here. It kind of feels like the Suzuka of the real world racing track, as we see Scott Taylor coming into the pit lane, followed by Mark Pacheco. It's just that fine art of really just trying to keep that momentum, the first sector and the last sector. It's kind of like that reminds me of the S's through Suzuka and the back section of the track. So it's all about just trying to find that perfection.
Yeah, certainly is. There's a lot of corners through here where you just need to be off the throttle and rolling through the apex, and that's obviously going to take a lot out of the tires. You're leaning on that mechanical grip a lot in these Honda Civics, and you can adjust the setup to kind of minimize that as much as possible. Want the car to be as flat as possible through these corners, and certainly the top five have done incredibly well to get that correctly set up. We've got a lot of people in the pits now, so I think a lot of people choosing this two-stop strategy today. Scotty, Pacheco, Stone, Griffin, Hogues all in, and that means that we've got Michael Brill in the lead, followed by Chris Farapapa and Matthew Jointson. So interesting split strategy here between the Jamco Racing team. Chris Farapapa, of course, out there on track, and he's under pressure still from our brand new Jamco Racing team. And Matthew Jointson wants a piece of the action. He wants to get this team off to a good start with a good result. Obviously, team's championship is kind of out of the picture for them this season, but it's always nice to see a new team established, and Matthew Jointson is a highly committed racer and does super well playing with others and talking to his teammates, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what Jamco Racing can do in the future. Shame, of course, that Jürgen Global had to pull out of the competition, but that is just the way things go sometimes. Big slipstream here, and Chris Farapapa is going to be under a bit of pressure as we head into this rather lovely left-handed, is one of my favorite corners. Unfortunately, Ryan Spann, don't think it's going to be his favorite corner. It's lost him 2 positions a couple of laps ago. So we shall see. And no, it is not Chris Farapapa who's going to defend the inside line. Gets a nice, short, sharp angle in. Runs nice and wide, so easy to defend if you do it that way. But his tyres are going off. I suspect this extended stint is not going to be going their way. Needs to get off this tyre as soon as possible.
Yeah, what I noticed there as well on the HUD display is that Matthew Johnson is on the racing medium tyres. So I feel like he's one of the only drivers that's actually jumped on the racing mediums, looking to try and stretch that fuel stint to about halfway. We're looking at around about lap 12 to be the halfway point. It's going to be nip and tuck for the 777 there, because if he has to run the soft tyres as well, Farapapa is running, still continuing on with his lap, as well as Dub Zito. So the two Lightning Motorsport boys, 1 and 2, at this current stage, at the end of lap 9, start of lap 10, is a Lightning Motorsports 1-2 with Matthew Johnson for the Jamco Racing Team in P3, running a different strategy to the rest of the field. And it's going to be an interesting one, because the tyres, they look worse for wear, but potentially they might have a bit of grip there. The last lap, a 2-minute 2.635 for Farapapa, when his fastest lap was a 2-minute 0.869. So there is a bit of drop-off, a fair amount of drop-off with these soft tyres. So whether these guys are just trying to minimize the racing laps for this second and third stint, it's up to Lightning Motorsport to be able to capitalize, because they need to try and get themselves back up to the front and try and get themselves within that top 5.
Yeah, nearly a push to pass moment there for Matthew Jointson. Did back off the throttle and let Chris Farapapa go. Both of them very honourable, respectful races. I'm a bit worried about Matthew Jointson's strategy, because if he does make it to half race distance on the rest of the fuel, I mean, what's he going to do on the softs? He's going to need to take a full tank of fuel, but the softs are not going to be that effective. I don't think the one-stop strategy is a good plan today, but we'll see how it works out. Everyone else going for the 2 stops. So looking back here, Ryan Spann is ahead of Andrew Scott, and it is Pacheco now ahead of Scotty. So it's been a little bit of a switch up, and we kind of saw this one coming. I mean, he's got a little bit less fuel in the tank, but he was also saving fuel, so he'll have made big gains in that pit lane today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like that extra bit of fuel in his car helped him so much to get in that track position ahead of his team, as we see Dub Zito now into the pit lane. But Mark Pacheco, I just saw, when I saw it on the display, on the timing display, when he jumped Scotty Taylor, he did put less fuel in the car. That's absolutely correct. But at the same time, I feel like now he's actually at a point where he's actually at the front. He's not as fast as Scott Taylor in this race as we saw in that first stint. I have a feeling what Paco is going to be doing for Scotty is, I feel like he's going to try and drag him along. I feel like that's probably going to be the most sensible option for the Gridline Racing boys, just to try and work together, have Scott Taylor hang on to the back of Mark Pacheco so he can save fuel. So then when they get into the last stint, Scott Taylor will be ahead of Mark Pacheco. So it's just a bit of that team's game between the 2 drivers at the moment. But Dubsy is about serving, getting rid of his tyres. Oh, Matthew Johnson having a moment there at the top of the hill at turn 2. A really hairy moment there for the 777. Loses all the time to Papa in position 1, but is still holding on to those soft tyres. This is a really, really strong race, strong first stint for Papa, and this could bode uh, a potential good strategy for the Lightning Motorsport driver come this second stint, because he might be looking for a one stop as well as Matthew Johnson, who I think has saved a little bit more fuel than Papa in position 1.
Well, Pautasso has actually saved more fuel than anyone. So he's still nearly, well, he's only about 23%. Joinson is now in the red, so he's under 10% at the moment. So Chris Pautasso has done unbelievably well with the fuel saving. I mean, we know he's got pace, but he is trying to, he's basically, they're doing opposite strategies, which is obviously not going to be good news for Matthew Joinson, who's been stuck behind the soft running Chris Pautasso. But Chris Pautasso has, he's made it to half race distance, essentially. I would expect him to come into the pits this lap, and maybe he can go for a bit more of a full send last 11 laps or so. That said, he's going to have to fuel save in that second stint. So 2 people, in fact, going for the one-stopper based on what we can see at the moment. Looks like Scotty and Pacheco have actually reversed their grid positions, and yeah, that's happened in that final corner after the straight. So they must have worked together for a little bit. Now Scotty's on a charge. He knows he's got a lot of time to make up to the chaps ahead, and you can see the difference here. I think they're all going for the 2-stop strategy, but I get the feeling Cooke have, I don't think they've underfueled, but they've put less fuel in the car than we've seen on gridline racing. Let's do the comparison here. There is definitely a little bit of a gap, and it probably does equate to the few seconds we're seeing on track.
Yeah, and because these guys pitted a lap earlier than the gridline racing boys, they tried to go for that bit of an ultra aggressive strategy, just underfueling the car, trying to get that position 1 and 2 back when Ryan Spann lost that position to Scott Taylor and Ando took the lead. I feel like that was the strategy. Looks like that was the strategy going to be for Cooke, just running a bit of a different fuel numbers compared to the rest of the field. But I do have to give an honorable mention there for Papa, 16% of fuel, while we saw drivers on lap 8, lap 9 running on that same number as well, George. So that's absolutely incredible from Chris Papa for the Lightning Motorsport to have 16% on lap 12 of 23. That's a strong effort there. Now he can actually go full send on the fuel tank. Has to save the tires though. He has to make it 11 laps. He did make it on 11 laps. But will he go softs? Will he go racing mediums? The safe strategy would be the racing mediums, but see what he does as he comes out of the pit lane. It is a racing set of mediums there, and he is going for that one-stop race to the finish for Papa.
I'm fascinated. I'm keen to see how this is going to work out. So Papa and Joinson on opposite strategies at the moment. Only 96 litres of fuel. I thought you would have just spent that time, and it's only 1 extra second, and you're at 100% fuel, essentially. So I would have thought you would have spent that second. But you know, he's in a battle right now with Joinson. They're battling it out, sort of P6 and downwards at the moment. I suspect that Luke Stone will be back up towards that sort of top 5 or top 6 area at some point, but it is Tony Griffo and Luke Stone who are battling it out for those positions at the moment. Not a massive gap between them either. So let's take a little look into these guys' race. So Tony Griffin for Jamco Racing on the racing softs. He did pit around that lap 8 marker and has got about half fuel in, whilst Luke Stone similar but more fuel. Absolute full send, yeah. They are throwing these cars into that left-hander, and rightly so. If you're going for a 2-stop strategy, use the tires, use them to their absolute maximum, and that's a great corner to utilize the mechanical grip. You can really throw it into the apex. It's on camber, so you can kind of just launch the car around and see what sticks on the wall. We've got Joinson in the pits now. Medium tires will be exchanged for softs for this last stint that he will be doing, and that'll be a massive fuel up for him. So it'll be good to see where he pops out relative to Papa in a few moments' time. In the meantime, though, it is still P1, P2 for the Cooke guys, and that gap does seem to be getting a little bit bigger between the teams.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the short fuel stint has worked nicely for Cooke, just getting that jump over gridline racing. They were line astern in that first stint, so something's so these Cooke boys working very, very hard to push these cars to the absolute limit. And I think you're right, as I think these guys are leaning on these tires, as we saw Spanny go purple in that first sector. These guys are really leaning on the tires because they know they have a number. They have a number that is pre-dialed into their steering wheel, into their mindset over the headset, and they're telling to themselves, they're saying we're thinking about lap 15, lap 16, let's push these tires to the absolute maximum. And here we go. It's the Me Cougar boys 1 and 2. Ando right underneath the rear wing of his teammate. What does he do? Does he give him a bump draft? He does. Nicely done there. Working together. Working very nicely there. The Gridline Racing boys 3 and 4 coming out of the tunnel right now. As you can just see the little glimpse of that Me Cougar coming out on the exit of the bowl there. But they still got a few seconds up their sleeves over Scott Taylor in P3. Looking at around about 4 to 5 seconds, the gap between Scott Taylor and Ando Scott in second and third place respectively. But an honourable shout there for Tony Griffin, P5 on his debut for Jamco Racing Team. It was a really strong effort there for the man in P5. Then Luke Stone, Hogan and Dubsito our top 8. But Ando, he's putting the pressure on his teammate here. These guys, they've done this before, Ando. This is why they are the reigning champions 3 times, the team's champions 3 times. They just work together so well, and they're just doing things like this, working together, sticking to the plan, no hesitations, no silly moments. And this is why they are really pushing to get that lead in the team's championship back.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And this is a key round for them if they can pull off this 1-2. Obviously, that'll be an extra point for them in the team's championship. It won't be for Scotty and Gridline Racing because they won't have 2 cars in the top 3. So this was essential that there was a mistake here, or that at least Scotty could be still in the lead and maybe backing these guys back up into Pacheco. That was probably the plan that they were thinking of. But that penalty, I mean, the 0.5-second penalty, may be one of those things that is a season decider. These guys are going to be competing in at least a couple more rounds together. I believe they'll be together not for round 7, they'll be separate, and then it'll be yet again in the same lobby 2 for the Nürburgring sprint round. Maggiore, they'll be together again in round 9, and they will actually also be driving together in round 10. So there's a lot of opportunities for these guys to be out on the grid together. So Me Cougar, these small little wins and that penalty, honestly, it might become a big talking point. We've only got 4 rounds left after round 6 complete. And they're going to need all the points that they can get, the Me Cougar guys. Let's see if they want to get that 4th title to their name. They're going to need to be winning every single one of these races and getting those extra team points. So that's absolutely essential for both cars to finish in the top 3 today. For Me Cougar, well, as Scotty will be bemoaning that 0.5-second penalty. Boy, oh boy, this is close. The trust being shown between these 2 guys is absolutely fantastic to watch. Ryan Spann holding his nerve beautifully, braking at the places he knows he needs to brake. Ryan, of course, coming back into the Gran Turismo 7 community after what was quite a bit of a break due to family reasons. I believe he had some children in the meantime, and Ando was more than happy to bring him back into the fold. A little bit gutted not to see McHill here, but he's been a staple, of course, in the championship for quite a number of years. A couple of championships and a title to his name for McHill, but he's not returning for this TCR Cup. Instead, Ryan Spanny has been lighting up our timing sheets all year.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a nice little story there for Ryan Spann. Just been off the game for quite some time, as you said. A lot of real world stuff that's going on in his life, and then he just actually started to make the jump back onto the game only a few months ago. So he's only just jumped back on, had a few races here and there, but then now he's actually committing himself to a proper race season here. We can just see that between Ryan Spann and Ando Scott, they have some very, very similar pace. These guys are evenly matched when it comes to lap pace and raw pace as well. And then when it comes to strategies, I think that's why you join a team like Me Cougar there, George, because you learn about these strategies, you learn about the different game plans that you can run against the rest of the field there. Because Scott Taylor, Mark Pacheco are not closing up on these guys whatsoever. These guys are really, really pulling away. And Scott, I feel like he's kind of done a little bit of a tweak there with his car because it's a lot happier. It's a lot nicer in this second stint compared to that first one.
Yeah, it does seem to be a little bit better. It might be the lesser fuel that he's got on board, so the rear end is just being a little bit more tame at this stage. Just noting that Pacheco and Scotty both have higher fuel numbers on board at the moment than Ryan Spann and Ando. So this is the key thing that we're going to be watching for in this second part of the stint. And I don't think it's just a matter of, oh, well, they're driving slower. Obviously, there's a great bit of pace between the Gridline Racing guys as well, and they're now able to work together in the grid. It's all going to come down to this final pit stop. It's all going to come down to this final stint, and here we go. We are going to find out very, very soon how the chips are going to fall in this case. Will it be heads for Mikuga? Will it be tails for Gridline Racing? We shall see. 6 litres, so a 4-litre difference there. So that means that Ando will be coming out in the lead of this race.
Yeah, you can just see that. That's the advantage that you have when you're sitting behind your teammate. You can save fuel. That's what Mark Pacheco was doing in the first stint. He got the jump on Scott Taylor. Potentially, Scott Taylor's going to be looking to get that upper hand on Mark Pacheco, but Ando, as he comes out of that pit lane, will inherit the lead, and then it's going to be up to the team strategy and up to the team engineer and the chief strategist. What do they do with these boys? Who's going to take the race win? Who's going to be fighting for that P1? Will it be gloves off between the Cougar boys, or will they play the team game?
We shall see. Also in the pit is Tony Griffin for Jamco Racing. He's had a really good race so far. Stone, Pacheco and Scotty will move up into the top 3 positions provisionally until we see that pit stop, likely next lap, for the Gridline Racing chaps. And just to get a good look at this brand new livery we've got on the grid. Love the yellow, love the silver, love the black. Love the Black Dog Institute logos, the Revolution logo on there, in amongst the TCR and Mercury Walch, and of course the Trackspot TV logo in there too. Lots of logos on there, in fact. So great work by the livery guys, and they've obviously done that in quite a short period of time. Let's check in with our battle between Jointson and Farapapa. P8 at the moment, racing soft tyres, 75 litres of fuel or thereabouts for Jointson. He's got Hasseldine though in between him and Farapapa. And of course, Farapapa will have the better tyre life across this stint. And really, it's going to come down to how much pace Jointson has got.
Yeah, but the main one we're looking for is Farapapa. He's on the racing medium, so you can see the Cougar boys there. They're coming around the corner that goes onto the back straight right about now. Farapapa is in the middle of the tunnel, and these guys are entering the tunnel. So the gap is closing between the contenders, between the 1-stop and the 2-stoppers. The Cougar boys are really, really going to be pushing those racing softs, leaning on those soft tyres, whilst we have Farapapa on the racing mediums. Matthew Jointson having to probably conserve a little bit of fuel there. Won't be able to lean on the tyres as much because he has to do 11 laps on this set of softs. It's going to be quite a task for him to do because they've got a fast Cougars right behind.
Here we go, key moments in this race. Scotty, Pacheco and Stone all pitting. The 1-stoppers are now ahead of our 2-stoppers, and they do have to make a fair overtake. So Cougar got to make a couple of overtakes. In fact, it looks like 3 overtakes that they're going to have to do. Jointson, Hasseldine and Farapapa basically between them and victory at this stage. And the key thing is going to be, where do the Pacheco and Scotty cars filter out back onto the grid? I think the last couple of corners are being taken now by Cougar. It's a lot of fuel that needs to be put in these cars though, Nick. It's absolutely anxiety-inducing to see them sitting there in the pits. Through goes Ando and Ryan Spann, probably no surprise there. And we've still got the Gridline Racing chaps in the pits. What amount of fuel will they take? There we go. They are coming out now of the pits. It's going to still be reasonably close, as we said before. Going to be closer on track at the beginning of the stint. Fresher tyres through the last 7 laps of this race, and plenty of fuel on board. It is now a race to the finish line between Gridline Racing and Cougar. Scotty has come out in 7th place though, behind Pacheco. So Pacheco yet again doing better on the fuel savings. Spann is in essentially 2nd place in this race, assuming they can get through the traffic, and Ando there now leading provisionally. Well, technically not provisionally, but he will be leading, assuming he can make it past the 3 guys in front. Dabzito, I think, needs to come into the pits one more time. Maybe not, though.
No, he's on half a tank of fuel there. He's got 17 laps out of 23, so he's going to be running about 6 more laps until the end of this race. 5.5 laps till the end of this race. Between him, Ando Scott, Ryan Spann, Mark Pacheco and Scott Taylor, I'll tell you what, George, Lightning Motorsport, they could be they could be making front news, they could be making the front page here at MotorMotion E-Series and pull the upset of the century, potentially.
Oh, I'm very excited. Yeah, that could be a 4th place to 1st place journey at Trial Mountain round 6. That could really launch Lightning Motorsport up in the championship for the teams. But of course, the main topic is going to be whether or not Ando and Ryan can efficiently make it through Jointson, Farapapa and Michael Brill, who are currently our top 3. I think it is one of those things that feels a little bit more like a matter of when, not if at this stage. You can see the grip difference between the two cars. Ando on fresh, soft tyres. Jointson, of course, on those used soft tyres and needs to make the fuel and the tyres both last at the end of the race. He's on the one stop, whereas Ando at this stage, he can go absolutely hammer and tong. He can put the foot down as much as he likes. He can use the tyres as much as he likes, within reason, of course. And so this is just going to be a matter of picking the moment for Andrew to make it past Jointson. As he's smooth line through there for Ando. He's actually protecting the tyres through those first couple of corners as Ryan just ducks a couple of tyres onto the grass. Not going to be great for the grip going into the corner after this one. But still, they've got a decent amount of lead over the Gridline Racing chaps. But I think they're closing in. I think it looks like Pacheco has put the foot down as well.
Yeah, and that was a little bit sneaky by Mark Pacheco there. I saw on the pit lane. He put 72 compared to Scott Taylor's 75. They were line astern coming into the pit lane, and Mark Pacheco yet again just being sneaky with his teammate and just putting in just a few drops less than his teammate who's running second in the championship. Whilst Mark Pacheco has to think about his own championship battles with Nick Pfaff in P4. So we can see that Matthew Johnson's putting on the blinker there for Ando Scott. He's in no contest at all. That is just a dogfight there for Ando Scott to get past the Jamco Racing, the new team in Jamco Racing Team. What does Ryan Spann do? Can he throw the car down the inside? He's thinking about it there, but he has to stick behind the Jamco 777 just for a few more corners before he can get that move done and past on Matthew Johnson. Now it is up to Ando to catch the Lightning Motorsport boys, and they are quite close to each other. So I'll tell you what, George, looking at this mini-map, this is a very similar mini-map that we saw on the opening couple of laps here. So between Farid Bubba in position 1 all the way down to Scott Taylor in P7, they are so close to each other. They are literally all within the same graphic of each other on the same piece of tarmac. When we see these cars along the pit straight, I'll be very excited to see. You can see the Lightning Motorsport cars. You can see the Cooke cars. Ando Scott goes past one Lightning Motorsport. He's going to get past the other one very soon. Lap 19 of 23. This is going to be an exciting final few laps.
Certainly will be. Ryan Spann's going to try and make that move now on Dubzito. Does get it done. So just so much more grip with the cars. They're able to open up the throttle and really let the fuel go for it. And of course, these one-stoppers just having to fuel save. So as I said before, a matter of when, not if at this stage. The question is, have they been held up enough to bring Gridline Racing back into it? Pacheco still hasn't caught the back of Matthew Jointson. They need to be right there. This is their opportunity. As there's 3 cars all slow on track for Cooke to navigate. Fastest first sector for Pacheco, so he's got the pace on him, just needs to catch back up. And of course now we should be within slipstream range here. Even just a whiff of it will really help. The problem is it's a slipstream train, Nick, so no one's really got the advantage here, but Jointson's going for the side draft, and that is actually going to be a massive help for Pacheco.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some side-by-side battles there for Johnson and Dubzito in P5. Johnson gets ahead of Dubzito, and this is going to really play effects for Mark Pacheco here. Does he send it down the inside? He's short the car on the inside, can't get the move done, and stuck in traffic here. And look at the Cooke boys, they're pulling away. Ando's now inherited the lead. They're going to go 3 wide up the hill, surely not. Ooh, that was very close there for Matthew Johnson and Dubzito going side by side, offering that opportunity for Pacheco to go 3 wide, and they're going to go 3 wide into the next corner. This is absolutely insane here. 3 wide for these cars. Mark Pacheco is one of the pawns in this battle here, trying to get through this battle pack. He's trying to get towards the king, and the king in Matthew Johnson trying to overtake him, try and pass him before they get onto the pit straight here. This is an absolute battle here between the Gridline boys and the one-stoppers here, because you can see Cooke 1 and 2, contact made between Dubzito and Scott Taylor on the exit of the chicane. And you can see the Cooke boys, they have pulled away there, so they've inherited that gap between themselves, and Gridline Racing struggling to get past these drivers.
Oh, they got stuck. I mean, Matthew Johnson and Dubzito battling really just boxed them in. They weren't able to get a really good advantage from the massive slipstream that they had, and Pacheco just didn't find his way through until we got to that left-hander, sweeped around the outside, did make the overtake, then got stuck behind Johnson, who's having to brake a lot earlier, as we do see Dubzito now giving up that position. Scotty comes on through. He's going to try and attack on, I believe that is Matthew Joynson. Will he get it done? He's got the inside line through the tunnel. Joynson is fighting. He's fighting a lot harder with these guys than he was with Ando. He let Ando past essentially, but right now he's been saying, no, I'm gonna be a bit of a cork in the bottle here. Impressive stuff, of course. Great racing between these four drivers. Very, very respectful, but certainly didn't make it easy for Gridline Racing. They have now managed to make it up to P4 and P5, but that is still one more car for Lightning Motorsport in the way, and it's a huge advantage for me, Cooke, with 4 laps to go.
Oh my God, I love it. I love the Matthew Johnson, the never say die attitude there for the Jamco racer. He loves to put up a good fight, and he always makes the lead drivers race that much more difficult. I'm not so much for Ando Scott, but for Scott Taylor. Whew, that was a nice lap there. That was a nice little race there between those two boys. But keep an eye on Dub Zeta. He's on the racing medium tyres, and Johnson is on the softs. So his softs are going to wear out pretty fast. He'll need to hold off that Lightning Motorsports and Dub Zeta in the remaining few laps. But me, Cougar, 1 and 2, line astern there yet again. These guys are putting on an absolute masterclass. Ryan Spann in the wall. Any damage on the 119? No, he's very lucky there to not pick up damage late in this race, because any sort of damage on that car, that is the race over. So very, very lucky there for Ryan Spann for the 119, the championship leader. Papa, a great performance here, man of the match so far, but he has one more driver to defend from. Mark Pacheco on an absolute roll here, and for Scott Taylor, from leading the race in the early point of the stint to getting a half-second penalty, he's down in P5 with 2.5 laps to go till the end of this race. What a disaster it's been for Scott Taylor.
Yeah, he's dropped off the pace. I mean, he's in the 2 minutes at the moment, did set a really good lap, 158.631, so he is holding the fastest lap of this race, but it hasn't been consistent enough. Fastest again through Sector 1 as we see Pacheco make the move on Chris Papa, who will have to settle for second, and I do wonder if there's just enough range there. Looks like Scotty will get the slipstream now from Papa, and this is going to be where they need to have Scotty and Pacheco line astern, just like we're seeing for me, Cougar. At the moment, it's the fact that they are together on track and switching positions, by the way, having a little bit of fun, trying to make sure he doesn't run into the back of his teammate now, Andrew Scott, sweeping side to side. Ryan Spann, makes sense for him to be in the lead of this race. He's in that team's championship position where he needs to be getting points hand over fist on top of Gridline Racing Scotty. So good bit of team orders there between the two, and that's no surprise to see. If we had seen Pacheco and Scotty having similar pace throughout this race, they would have been able to work more together, Nick. I think it's going to come down to that today.
Yeah, absolutely. And Scott Taylor's now trying to get past Papa here. He's got the line on the exit coming into the final couple of corners here. He's going to throw the car down the inside. Much better tyres compared to the racing mediums. Down the inside, Scott Taylor goes on the 37. On the 35, makes that move. Nicely done there. So up into P4 for Scott Taylor. But yeah, it's what happens now with Mark Pacheco here. I'm very interested to see what happens. What does Mark Pacheco do here? 2 laps to go. Will he do what Ando did in that last lap? Will he slow down, let Scott Taylor through, because he needs to minimize those championship points? Right now, Ryan Spann has got himself a comfortable margin over Scott Taylor in this championship. Obviously, but with Scott Taylor getting that fastest lap, it's going to close up a little bit. But it's all about the team game here. What does Mark Pacheco do? They had a nice battle at Road Atlanta in the previous round, and it's now to conclude their American leg. Will Mark Pacheco let Scott Taylor through?
I mean, you know, for Ryan Spann, if you call 2 points comfortable, then all power to you, I suppose. But I don't think Ryan Spann should be too comfortable in the Drivers' Championship at the moment. But you're absolutely right. I mean, that extra point for Scotty will definitely work to mitigate the damage a little bit. And I think Pacheco here, he'll be aware of the situation that Scotty is in. They'll have talked about this before the race, analysing the potential outcomes. And if it comes down to it, I suspect Pacheco will have to yield that. At the moment, he doesn't have the pace. I mean, look, he's dropping off in terms of the lap times. So I think this is going to be a team orders here. Maybe not this lap, but probably on the last lap of the race. And actually, it's going to happen immediately. Pacheco pulls out of the way, and through goes Scotty. That's important points for him. He'll be finishing in the P3 position. I don't think they had any other choice, Nick.
No, it's a smart move there from the grid line boys. I think they're just trying to help as Scott Taylor as much as he can, and really trying to capitalize and maximize the races where me Cougar Drive Development won't be in their lobby. So trying to maximize the 1-2s, try and maximize the two cars on the podium, just to try and close and trying to stretch their gap just a little bit in that team's championship. Right now, Scott Taylor's going to get onto the podium, but me Cougar on that podium, the two of them on the podium, extra points going to the names, and just that little bit more edging closer towards me Cougar Driver, towards Gridline Racing, who are running up at the top of the standings here. But coming on to the final lap now, Ryan Spann, Ando Scott, Scotty Taylor, Mark Pacheco are your top four. Me Cougar and Gridline, the heavyweights of season 4 in the TCR Cup, sponsored by Mercury Walch for round 6 to conclude the final leg here. An honourable mention, an honourable drive here for Chris Papa in position 5, doing the one-stop strategy, working that to an absolute treat here for Lightning Motorsport. Some great performances here from this team, and really capitalising on this bonus here to have Papa in P5 and Michael Brill in P7. So unfortunately for Michael Brill, probably wasn't the race that he expected from P4, equal qualifying time to Ando Scott. Just didn't have the race pace overall, and Papa just got that car position where he wanted it. He's up into P5. Matthew Johnson P6, Dub Cito in P7, and Tony Griffin rounding up the top 8 here. But it's been an exciting race here, George. But it's been a nice battle up front and down the pack there. But it is the familiar names up front, Ryan Spann and Ando Scott are 1-2.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's happened with Michael Brill here today. I think he had the pace to do the two-stopper. Had he done that, he would have been right up there. He's obviously got great pace at this circuit. And bear in mind, a little correction from us, of course, it is the pole position from qualifying that gets the extra point, not the fastest lap. That still doesn't change anything. Ryan Spann will still take that extra point, so it's still in effect against Gridline Racing Scotty, but it wasn't the other way around, so Scotty will not be getting extra point for that fastest lap. Qualifying pole is what bags you the extra point, but an extra point as well will be going to me Cougars. They come around the last few corners, and they will be taking a 1-2 here. Team championship extra points for 2 cars, finishing in the top 3. Maximum points here for them today, and Ryan Spann will be the one to come across the line. He's in the lead of the Drivers' Championship. That lead is going to be extended by a reasonably decent amount of points here today. And as we head through to the end of the American leg, Ryan Spann will take Trial Mountain. Photo finish across the line. It was very close. Ando timed that to perfection. They'll take a couple of pictures. I'm sure they've got a photographer down there on the race. Scotty will take 3rd position overall. Let's jump out now and head to our race results. Well, there we go. It was an exciting race. It came down to strategy. It came down to who had the most fuel. But at the end of the day, I think Gridline Racing will have to settle for the fact that they didn't work as closely together as they really needed to. Mark Pacheco starting in 5th place. Really just didn't have the pace, unfortunately, to catch back up to Scott Taylor and hold on to the top. And of course, the 0.5 second penalty for Scott. It's absolutely massive. It's made a big impact on this race today. He could have been slowing down the Me Cougar team. He could have been helping to bring his teammate into the battle, but they ended up unleashing the Cougar today, unfortunately, and having to settle for 3rd and 4th. So there's your results on screen. 52 points for Ryan Spann. Andrew Scott in 2nd place, 46 points. Scott Taylor in 3rd for Gridline Racing. Mark Pacheco in 4th. Chris Papa, probably one of the standouts of today on the one-stop strategy, which we don't believe was optimal at all, but I think he might have proved us a little bit wrong today. Same for Matthew Joynson. They did kind of the opposite out on track. Joynson started on the medium tyre, went to the softs. Chris Papa did the opposite, and Jamco Racing will take home a very good opening result here on debut. 38 points for Matthew Joynson, and of course we had his teammate Tony Griffin still in the top 8. So good results overall, Nick. It was an exciting race, and we're going to have to start thinking about driver of the day.
Yeah, and I think just before I get to my driver of the day, I have to give that honourable mention to Papa, that making that one-stop work very nicely there, getting himself inside the top 5 after qualifying outside of the top 5. Really good performance there from the Lightning Motorsport 35 in Papa. So great job there. But I also have to make a note on the teams, on the drivers, on the race results, sorry. Ryan Spann 52, Scott Taylor 44. That's an 8-point swing And that is huge when it comes to this race. To see how tight this championship is, having that swing in points is going to cost Scott Taylor. He needs to try and work extra hard, try to get the gridline boys and the strategists and their R&D team to really trying to tinker their gridline car just to be just that little bit better than the Cooke cars in position 1 and 2. But because an 8-point buffer is absolutely huge in this championship. 10 points it's going to stretch out to at the conclusion of our lobbies here tonight. But my driver of the day is going to go to Pautasso, making that one-stop work very nicely there, coming his way up from the back of the grid towards P5. A solid performance by Lightning Motorsports, and for him to get P5. So well done for the best of the rest for Chris Pautasso.
Absolutely right, and that'll be a 10-point gap between Span and Taylor at the end of this round. So that is a fair chunk of points. It's certainly more comfortable than 2 points. So if you're comfortable with 2, you'll be very, very comfortable. You'll be 5 times more comfortable with 10-point gaps. So Ryan Span solidly in the lead at the moment, but it's still got a long way to go in this season. My driver of the day, I'm really stuck on this one because in this situation, I think Chris Pautasso absolutely a great vote. Today, coming out of nowhere to go into the top 5, the one-stop strategy was not the optimal strategy from what we can tell, but he executed it very well, and the rest of the field behind him, other than Joinson and Dubzito, were on the two-stop strategy as well. So he's beaten most of the field doing that two-stopper, and I think we'll have to go with driver of the day. A unanimous driver of the day today, Chris Pautasso for Lightning Motorsport. That doesn't happen very often in the comms box next, but today it has happened. It was a very special race for Lobby 1, and we were very excited to bring you today's coverage.
Yeah, absolutely. What a great start to round 6 to conclude the American leg here and Gran Turismo 7 for the MotorMotion E-Series TCR Cup for Season 4. It's an exciting season here. Different car, different style of tuning, different driving styles for our drivers, and it is really showing who are the top boys in this series. Cooke, Gridline Racing, they're the ones to catch, but Lobby 2 is going to have a lot of spice in this one, and so stick around, ladies and gentlemen, because Lobby 2 is coming up very shortly, and it's going to get really spicy in that lobby, so stay tuned for that. But thank you for having me in the comments box, George. Thank you, viewers. And I can't wait to see what Lobby 2 brings up in the next few minutes.
It's going to be exciting. Of course, we'll take a 5-minute intermission. So stay tuned, go and grab a nice cold drink, get yourself resettled back in because MotorMotion E-Series TCR Cup is going to return with Lobby 2, Round 6 at Trial Mountain in about 5 minutes' time. Thank you very much to Nick Pautasso for joining me in the comms box for Lobby 1, and we'll be bringing in Andrew Scott for Lobby 2. We'll see you in a few minutes. Hello and welcome back to the MotorMotion E-Series Round 6 coverage of the TCR Mercury Walch Cup. It is time for Lobby 2, and we're expecting to see some similar level of fireworks, maybe not as critical to the teams in the Drivers' Championship, but still ever so important overall. Joining me in the commentary box for this one is going to be Andrew Scott, coming into the comms box after a very, very nice win. Well, technically a second place, but I think a win for the team overall in Lobby 1. We're excited for Lobby 2 coverage today.
Yeah, good result for us in Cooke there, mate. G'day, viewers. You'll be pleased to know, George, I did manage to hit the showers, so I've lost the Cooke suit. I've got my going out clothes on, mate. We're going to hit it after this, obviously. But yeah, it was a good race for us, and this one will be good to watch as well. Faf, Airborne, these guys are quick. Let's see the one-stop versus the two-stop again. I think there might be some varying strategies and also tyre choices as well. So there were some guys doing two stops there, but they were still grabbing mediums in that first race, I think, because the softs really don't last around here. This is one of those tracks where the front right cops it much more than any other tyre, and it really is very much dependent on your car and your setup, whether you can look after that front right temperature or not, or whether she goes off the cliff and your lap times really do suffer when that happens.
Yeah, and we saw that a number of times. I mean, the one-stoppers were taking the softs right to the bleeding edge. They nearly did not make it. A few very, very red tyres on the grid for those one-stoppers. They did manage to make it work. All respects to them, though.
Yeah, they did. They did pull it off. The pit stop here is not short, so there is an advantage. But I saw Johnson there. His in lap at one stage there was a 2:04. That unfortunately is not going to cut it if you want to get on the podium in this sort of elite level of racing. So it wasn't the optimal strategy. Me Cougar's new team principal. We got a out of work team principal from another league joining us there, and let's put it this way: we got free Spice Girl tickets for life. But he definitely called the two stop as the optimal strategy today.
Well, we saw it before, and I was mentioning this in Lobby 1. In the manufacturers, we look back to the manufacturers' masters. Gopi Mahinderjit, in the first round at Trial Mountain, he was like the only one on grid that went for a two-stop soft strategy. And when the mandatory tyre is the softs, I mean, is there an argument to say, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's right. And the only reason why you wouldn't is the pit stop is not that short around here. So, if you can make it work, the two stop and the one stop are not that far apart in time. But the supercomputers this round definitely told us the two stop was the way to go. And that's what Gopi experienced as well with that lightning pace he was able to unlock in that Ferrari. That was a bit of a humbling experience to be in that race with him that day.
Absolutely right. Yes, we do recall that. We were saying at the beginning of the race, Andrew will make it up from, I think it was P4 or P3. He'll make it up and he'll catch up. No, Gopi disappeared into the future. He was literally playing Back to the Future or on the movie screens or something in that cockpit. Let's take a little look at Lobby 2 qualifying results, and this is how it lines up. Nick Pfaff on top with a blistering 158.627 for Astor Racing. Campbell Knowles coming out of the woodwork for Team 55, a 159.128. And then it's Lyle Rensburg yet again gracing this top four group in qualifying. Mad Turtle Racing with a 159.658. And oh so close, Nick Roberts for Rusty Nuts Racing, who's on a bit of a comeback charge at the moment. Pretty close there, only a few hundredths in it. But a big split, Ando, between first and third.
Yeah, Faf there obviously got a good run in quali. A 58 any time around here is a blistering lap. That's going to be hard to keep up with. But this could be indicative of some setup deficiencies in the cars, maybe. Let's hope the cars don't spread out too much in the opening stint.
We shall see, of course. And I'm thinking here, I mean, Nick Pfaff is the obvious favourite to jump ahead at the start, but it's a tricky place to start. We saw that with Ryan Spann in Lobby 1. If you don't get a good start, you're on the outside line, and that's it.
Yeah, it's a bit like Bathurst. I think they set up the pole position on the outside as well, which I don't sort of understand. It's definitely advantage to the car with the inside line, if you ask me, around this track.
Certainly is, and we'll see if that's going to be the case here today. Nick Pfaff got a lot of work to do, but, Campbell Knowles right there and ready to go. I think we are also ready to go down to the grid, so we'll see you there in a few moments' time. All right, here we go. Keep an eye on Campbell Knowles in P2. Nick Pfaff will be leading us away, and it's all going to come down to the start. 5 lights are on, 5 lights are off, and we're away racing. Faf gets a better start than we saw in Lobby 1 for Ryan Spann, and he will have the lead heading into corner 1. That has turned out to be oh so essential. Jansen off to a fantastic start in 3rd place, trying to look for that inside line, but can't find any space at that area of the track, so we'll have to settle for 3rd at the moment. Spark in behind him, the Kiwi driver, I should say. 2 Kiwi drivers in the top 4 at the moment. Go Kiwis, absolutely love to see it. And he is holding off Troy Britnell, who's starting in 5th position, followed by Blue Dog, Legendary Berry, and the CP Motorsports driver Aussie Heat. It's all pretty close at the moment. Couple of cars going side by side before we get into this first tunnel. And Jansen, oh, he is absolutely putting the pressure on right now.
Yeah, there might be a difference in tyre choice there, viewers, and we see Faf there gapping the field already at the start, and Airborne here is under significant pressure down the main straight. I think he might be on mediums, George.
He is indeed on mediums. We can confirm that. Airborne choosing the one-stop strategy by what we can see at the moment on screen, and that could really hurt him in this race. We saw it wasn't super effective in Lobby 1, but we'll keep a very, very close eye because he's got a number of other runners around there. The Racing Softs can make it to that half-race distance if you look after them, and Rusty Nuts Racing is now trying to make a bit of a move as well. That medium tyre is getting swallowed up by the field.
Yeah, he's short shifting as well to save fuel, so it's a double whammy here at the start. And after starting on 2nd place, he's going to go backwards through the field, but he's going to be a roadblock, George, for these midfield runners. They're going to need to clear him if they have any chance of a podium today.
Oh, and I'm just watching Jansen up the front. He's actually caught up a little bit to Nick Faf. Oh, into the final couple of corners we go, and the medium tyre struggling for grip every way that it turns. Campbell Knowles has held on to that very, very strongly in this first lap, but he's lost a couple of positions already. Started in P2, Faf takes the fastest lap, opening lap of course, and that is going to be real struggle town for Campbell Knowles in the next lap or so. You can even see under braking, he hasn't got the confidence on the medium tyre. It's going to be cold, and it's overcast today, Ando.
Yeah, so that will help him with the tyre wear, but he's got his teammate behind him now, and guess what, George? His teammate's on soft, so he's holding up his teammate here. He's going to have to play some team orders here and let him through at some stage, I think, because he's just significantly slower than everyone else at the moment due to the fact that he has to save fuel.
Yeah, and of course you've got 2 CP Motorsports drivers, Blue Dog and Aussie Heat. Looks like Legendary Berry might have had a bit of an incident earlier at either the end of lap 1 or at the beginning of lap 2. So now the CP Motorsports cars are going to be coming into this one as well. And really, he's just been completely hung out to dry on this one. I'm sure Troy Britnell will be telling him in the headset, get over to the right-hand side. I'm coming on through. No, it's the bump draft. Wants to play the team game.
Wow, I don't know if they're on the same page here. I'm not sure how this is going to work unless... we've got contact going into the sweeper there as Aussie Heat, a little bit of a push to pass there, and he's made contact with Blue Dog, I think. No damage done, but a little bit of a swap of positions that might be up to the stewards later on. But yeah, Brits Lightning and Airborne, I don't know is Brits the sacrificial lamb here? I don't know. Is he going to sit behind Airborne and just bump him around the whole first stint? That'll ruin his race, though.
It will ruin his race. It'll obviously massively improve Campbell Knowles. If he's able to get that extra pace in the medium, that'll make up for the time loss that he's going to encounter as a result of the one-stop strategy he's clearly on. So maybe Troy Britnell taking a massive sacrifice for the team. That's what you've got to do when you're a team owner sometimes, but generally speaking, you get the strategies aligned and you can work together on track. I mean, they didn't start on track together, obviously, and now they have the opportunity to do this, as do the CP Motorsports drivers. And yeah, it did look like a bit of argy-bargy between the teammates. The red, of course, is Aussie Heat. The bright green is Blue Dog, both on the medium tyres. So at least there's some consistency in the strategy at CP Motorsports today.
Yeah, so those guys, it'll be interesting to see. I don't think they've saved enough fuel. Maybe they have. Maybe they're on one-stoppers as well, but they're already at the back of the field here, so they're going to be hard up against it. But yeah, being teammates there, that little how's your father, go get him, little tap from behind might not end up getting reported.
No, that's right. I don't think they'll want to be taking a trip down to the stewards' office and getting themselves any kind of post-race penalty for that one. So I think they'll have to just call that racing and have a little chat in the team's area after the race. There might be a few passive-aggressive words exchanged between the two. In the meantime,
They better sort themselves out soon, though, George, because they got Legendary Berry, who's on softs. He obviously had a bit of a whoopsie at the start there, but he's coming back at them, and they're still stumbling over each other into the next corner after the tunnel. So Legendary Berry is gaining on them here, hand over fist, because he's on the softs. So might be able to watch out here for a bit of rear of the pack action here shortly.
I mean, I thought they would be working together at this point. They've got the Lightning Motorsports, the Team 55 cars up ahead of them. And this is an opportunity. It looks like Troy Britnell has made that move. He's now up into 4th place. So Campbell Knowles is now in 5th position. Lots of action going at it around the track at the moment. And CP Motorsports seem to be going racing with risk at this stage. We'll see if the risk is removed at any stage of this race. You're absolutely right. Legendary Berry's right there. He's caught up a huge amount already. In fact, I think the gap between him and the CP Motorsports team is now smaller than the gap between CP and Team 55 ahead. Airborne still struggling a little bit on the mediums. Now needs to get his head into the right place and execute the one-stop strategy.
Yeah, he's done a 202, but just the CP Motorsport boys behind him have done 203s. So they're opening themselves up to Legendary Berry from behind. But yeah, Airborne here, if he can settle into a bit of decent race pace and manage that tyre drop off and the fuel range, you never know. The podium's still on the cards for him.
Certainly is. We shall indeed see. Little update from the front of the grid. Jansen still making a bit of progress for Mad Turtle Racing on Nick Pfaff. Pfaff, I think he's just look after the tyres a little bit, been saving a bit of fuel. Tyre life equal between these two top drivers at the moment. And we know Pfaff has got the ultimate pace here, was nearly a second faster than Jansen in qualifying. And we'll bag that extra point for qualifying pole. But Jansen is not letting him run away with things.
No, and his tyres are looking pretty good, but they're probably the worst out of the top 5. So Pfaff doing a pretty good job on his tyres, and Jansen is just trying to get up there in the slipstream, I think, George, because once he's in the slipstream, he'll obviously be able to sit back and enjoy that fuel-saving advantage. So he might be spending a bit of tyre life right now in order to get up into the slipstream of the leader. But we've got Spark and Brits Lightning rounding out the top 4, and they're very, very similar on tyres and fuel. Obviously, the whole top 4 are probably on the same strategy. They're going to go for the 2-stop. So it'll be spicy indeed on about lap 7 or 8, where we start seeing some undercuts and overcuts happen.
Well, it's going to be interesting. Looks like there's been an incident between Aussie Heat and Legendary Berry, and that has ended up causing damage on the car for Aussie Heat. He's decided to pull into the pits to get that repaired, but this is strategy gone out the window. You're pitting on lap 4 to solve damage. I mean, what do you do in this situation? Do you just hold on to the damage for a few more laps, see what it is? I thought that would have been the way to go, but he's clearly said, no, I had enough of that. We're going to get back out after we repair that damage.
Yeah, it looks like he copped significant damage there, George. Front aero and front right suspension. And I hate to say it, but I think that was inevitable. That was bound to happen. The CP Motorsport boys were not happy with the way the car was behaving on the mediums. They were stumbling over each other, let alone their opponents. And when Legendary Berry came up from behind, there obviously was a distinct pace disparity, and it came to tears by the looks of it.
Yeah, it has indeed, and we are now seeing Aussie Heat come out of the pits. What's he going to choose in terms of the tyres? It's going to be fresh racing softs. So he's got to change up the strategy. He's got to think on his feet now, and he might be able to do a sort of, I don't know even what you call it, sort of a 75% stint, 2 more stints towards the end of the race, both on soft tyres. Might be the way to manage it, and it might bring him back into this show. A lot of one-stoppers appearing out of the woodwork throughout this race so far, and I think Jansen and Pfaff look to be just going for it. I don't see any kind of conservation of resources by these two guys. They're going for it, maybe a little bit of fuel saving here and there. The competition for that title at the moment certainly going Nick Pfaff's way, saving enough fuel. 59.6, 2 laps in a row. for Jansen. So he's making some progress, but a 59.2 fastest personal lap for Faf. What's it going to be across the line here? Let's have a little look. It's going to be a 59.8. Jansen, it's going to be a 2-minute lap. So he is not in the slipstream and he is not making progress.
No, so he's overcooking his front right tyre there, George, and he's suffering the consequences. So that attempt to get back up into the slipstream has unfortunately failed by the looks of it, and he's at a serious detriment now on both tyres and fuel. So he's going to have to pull something out of the bag here if he wants to win this race. But you never know. He's been a surprise acquisition for the Mad Turtles, hasn't he? A great talent. He's definitely got the pace, and there's a long way yet to go in this race. So a penalty or two for Faf could bring Jansen right back into it.
Certainly could, and of course at Road Atlanta he was one of our standout drivers throughout the day, a big favourite of Nick Pautasso's, as we all know. But yeah, one of the acquisitions of the season certainly, and Mad Turtle Racing has elevated themselves solidly in the team's championship with a driver of his caliber, always putting pressure on these top guys, but just over the course of the race, it seems to slip away from him ever so slightly, and this probably comes down to the conservation of resources and the thinking man's game that is TCR Cup, Ando.
Yeah, I promise you, George, I won't burden anyone with my South African accent today. I'm telling you right now, okay? But it is. It's a battle of resources, this series. You definitely can't spend too much too early in the race, otherwise you'll pay the penalty. And let's see how that pans out, because Spark might actually come back at Jansen here as well. Although his tyres and fuel aren't looking great. But I think Jansen's main problem is his front right tyre. He's still got at least one more lap, maybe two, to do on this set of tyres. And he's leaking a bit of oil, George. I think he's going to do a 2:01 here.
Let's see. Well, it's a 2-minute flat.
2-minute point one.
Yeah.
The 2-minute point one, I'd stand corrected. He is managing, so that gap there to the leader is not getting out of hand. But when they come into the pits, the fuel refuel rate is a little bit painfully slow, unfortunately, in this series. And Faf's going to jump them all, I think, because he's looking the best on fuel right now.
That's right, and of course that's 0.5 of a second right there for that lap. So this gap is getting larger. The fuel deficit is not changing at the moment, from what we can tell. So still a huge fuel advantage for Nick Pfaff, as we see Legendary Berry now in the pits on Racing Soft Tyres, 27 litres of fuel. He's also picked up damage. So Aussie Heat had some damage, and unfortunately for Legendary Berry, whether it was his fault or not, he's picked up some negative karma. And he's unfortunately sent himself very, very solidly into the wall at some point. So it's now his turn. So Aussie Heat, Legendary Berry, I feel like this battle isn't over, because they've kind of ended up on the same botched strategy.
Yeah, and botched is the word, because pitting on lap 5 and now on lap 7, this isn't too bad for for Legendary Berry, but Aussie Heat having to pit on lap 5 has seriously compromised his strategy. That's nowhere near the window that you want for this race. So it'll be interesting to see how the minor placings play out. There could be a little bit of red mist descending on the lower half of the field, George.
Yeah, well, we know how it works, and we've all been there at some point or another. I certainly recall my rise through the E-Rank GT7 races was not devoid of a red mist moment or two. Sorry to say, whoever was on the receiving end of that, I do humbly apologize. Spark now coming into the pits, 27 litres. I probably shouldn't have said that on stream. Anyway, I'm much better nowadays, okay? Let me just tell you that. Spark in the pits.
We believe you, mate. We
believe you. Good. Okay, excellent. Yeah. You have to take me at my word in both cases, I think. Lap 7. So this is the undercut territory here for Spark.
Yeah, so he's the first one to pull the trigger. It's almost like a game of poker here, George, isn't it? So he's pulled the trigger. He's decided to come in on lap 7 and maybe short fuel and try and jump someone, at least one spot, because track position does matter, as we saw with a couple of those battles in the first race, George. If you're in a battle, it costs you a lot of time. So track position does still matter, but the important thing is nailing that strategy and getting it perfect. So lap 7 is the window, and we'll see if he can pull something off here with this attempt at an undercut.
So I want to pose this question now to chat and also to yourself, Ando, and I'll give my opinions on this too. Are we seeing enough pace from the top two to offset the one stop that Airborne is doing? He started P2. We saw that the one stop can bring you up through the field if the two stoppers don't have the pace. Is he within the territory? He's doing 201.9 last lap. And if we just jump up for a second to Jansen, it's 201.2, and Faf is doing 2-minute flats now. Are they within range? Is the two-stop going to be as effective as we saw in Lobby 1?
Yeah, it might not be. If you ask me, I think Airborne's doing a tremendous job, and he's got the best chance of anyone so far today to pull off a podium or even a win with the one stop, because that pace is tremendously consistent and it's good enough compared to the leaders. So, if you can keep your lap times within a second or so of the two stoppers, then it's game on.
Oh dear, Legendary Berry in the pits again. He's picked up more damage on his outlap of all places. So he has to come back into the pits and get it repaired. Well, he doesn't have to. He could just hang out there, but he's lost himself yet another pit stop. 2 pit stops so far as we see Blue Dog jump onto the medium tyre now. Faf in the pits, Jansen in the pits, and 4 litres, Ando, is the difference between the two. It's worth time out on track.
Yeah, that's the best part of 1.5 seconds. So that is significant, although it looks very minor, and they are definitely on the same strategy, but it just reduces your pit stop time literally by 1 to 1.5 seconds. So Faf's going to enjoy that little increase to the gap here, I think, as he will come out in second place, but net first overall, I think. But Airborne is laying down the gauntlet here. And I don't know if Faf or the other boys on two stops were even aware that someone might be attempting a one stop today on them. So they'll be very surprised indeed to see themselves not in the lead. And yeah, they're going to have to put their heads down and start setting some quality type laps to reel in Airborne.
Here we go. So Faf, Jansen, Spark, the order unchanged at this stage. British Lightning has come in. He'll come out ahead of Aussie Heat, and Blue Dog now in the pits getting a bunch of fuel in the car. 95 litres, wants to be doing that one stop throughout the rest of this race. But I don't know how well that's going to work if you're pitting on lap 9. So I was expecting to see fewer cars in the pits, given the way that people were driving and the tyre choice that was used by a lot on the grid. This is sort of a little bit late for a two-stop strategy, so I don't quite know exactly where we're sitting in terms of strategy overall for a lot of these drivers. Obviously, Spark was the one that did the undercut, tried it, hasn't really worked out. It's brought him a little bit closer to Jansen, and the gap, of course, between Faf and Jansen has now extended somewhat. Our new race leader is this man right here. We're going to go on board with him and just check out this consistency. In fact, Ando, take us through a lap here, because the Honda Civics are a fantastic car to drive. Setup depending, I think Trial Mountain, for me, would be the track that I'd like to take this car to.
Yeah, you'd think so, George, but it was actually a little bit of a difficult track to get the car set up perfectly for. You saw it in race 1 there. My car was definitely a little bit taily. I went for a higher downforce at the front setting, so my car was very pointy with the front end, and it had exceptional tyre wear with the front. But, that made it a little bit difficult to drive, as we see someone there, Legendary Berry, having a shocker, George. He's off the track again, and he nearly got in the way of the race leader there, but luckily he didn't. He's received rear aero damage again, so he's having a real Barry Crocker, mate, old Legendary Berry. But Airborne here, he's setting really, really nice laps. His fuel and tyres are looking great. His inputs are smooth. And he did do a 202.9 though on the last lap there. So starting to drop off now as we see that front right, even with the mediums, even when you're babying them, they still wear far more than the other 3 tyres. And that's what slows you down around this anti-clockwise circuit. When your front right in a front wheel drive car starts to go off, it is just painful to drive. But he's making the most of it. He's got 1, maybe 2 more laps to do on this set of tyres, and I think he's laying down the gauntlet. I think he's got a definite chance of a podium here today, just by looking at his inputs He's really nailing his apexes. He's controlling the car. He's going to have a real advantage time-wise in the pits because he's saving fuel uh, way better than obviously the two-stoppers are. But unfortunately, with the way the power band works in this car, he's having to short shift so much that the car's not in its power band. So there's no denying you are giving up lap time when you attempt this amount of fuel saving. But you never know, George. He might pull it off as he comes onto the main straight again. And let's see if he can get back into the 201s. Maybe not. 202, 203, unfortunately. So he's dropping off now. And this is where the one-stop strategy really starts to suffer. This is where Faf, who's now, I'm sure, doing 59s, low 59s indeed even, he's coming back at Airborne massively. And, Airborne's really got his work cut out for him if he wants to pull off a victory today.
Oh, I love it. I love seeing these one-stoppers versus two-stoppers. In fact, it's not just the fastest personal lap, it's the fastest lap overall. It's a 58.980 for Nick Pfaff, who knows he needs to be quick this stint, knows he needs to use the resources cleverly so he can get onto that third and last stint after the second pit stop. I'll get my numbers right one day, Ando. And he'll then have to go for another charge, but Airborne obviously needing to come into the pits at least once in this race. I'm fascinated to see how this is going to play out for these two drivers. Airborne should be making his pit stop at some point soon, but as you said, just starting to hang off the edge of the cliff. And well, we know when you're going around a bunch of left-handers in an anti-clockwise circuit and your right is wearing out, you're going to get some understeer. That's probably to understate it quite some margin. You're going to get a lot of understeer. In the meantime, back in third place, Jansen has fallen right off of Pfaff's pace nearly completely. Did take a lot more fuel in the pit stop than Pfaff did, but Spark is right there. Rusty Nuts Racing are in this for a potential podium finish today.
Yeah, Spark doing very, very well. But Jansen has got a lot more fuel on board. So his next pit stop is surely going to be a lot quicker. And tyre wear wise, looks like they're similar. So Sparks, yeah, he's gaining on him, isn't he? I don't know what Jansen's doing. He might just need to knuckle down, get his rhythm back or something. But he's looking in his mirrors right now, I think, George, and he's wondering, what can I do to keep this guy behind me?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, obviously he had the in-lap and out-lap, lap 8, lap 9. Was that relatively slow compared? Yeah, it was. Well, the in-lap certainly was. Obviously sitting in the pits, no fun. And you do enter the pits and sit before the timing line at the pit straight. That's why we see the longer lap time in the second lap after their pit has been done. But yeah, Jansen, 159.9. Let's see what he is across the line. We'll have a little look at Spark. So it's into the 2 minutes for Jansen, whereas Spark has been hovering under that consistently. 59.3 on his first hot lap after that, and the 59.8. So he's running a couple of tenths faster per lap at the moment. Might be using up that soft tyre, just that extra bit more. Did pit a lap earlier than Jansen, so maybe just back in the zone. You know, Jansen's just done his only a couple of laps after his pit stops, and for whatever reason, he's trying to save his resources out there, and I think that's probably part of what's bringing Spark back into this. But Spark is driving well. It's consistently decent pace at the moment for him.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if Jansen's made a couple of errors or whether he's driving to numbers, but there's no denying that this is going to get spicy for the minor podium places very, very shortly.
Certainly will. Let's take a little look through the rest of the grid as it stands right now. Spark in fourth. Fifth is Troy Britnell. And we haven't talked too much about him other than our confusion earlier on as to whether he was going to be the sacrificial lamb and try and push Airborne along to push him towards maybe a podium finish or maybe even a race win today. Racing soft tyres, obviously second stint for him. 45 litres of fuel on board as we see his teammate Campbell Knowles now in the pits on 5 litres of fuel.
Yeah, so this is critical. We'll see where Airborne comes out. Pfaff will probably inherit the lead here and then have to pit again and fall behind. But yeah, Brits Lightning is doing pretty good, mate. He's doing 2 minutes on the softs there with good fuel and tyres to go. So I can't help but think, though, that start of the race there where he was behind his teammate and he bump drafted him rather than slotted himself past because his teammate was on the mediums, that might have hurt his overall race too badly.
Yeah, it's quite possible. It's put him way out of contention for even a top 4 finish today. We shall see. Of course, he will make it past his teammate, who's now in the pits, getting the fuel on board. Aussie Heat is in the pits as well. Does he have damage? No, he's run out of fuel, so he's trying the one-stop strategy. We can confirm that now. Obviously, his teammate, Blue Dog, has had some interesting stuff happen this race, and now he's on the medium tyre with half fuel, so a bit of an offset strategy. It is him versus Legendary Berry, last I recall, and Airborne throws 95 litres of fuel on board, racing soft tyres, and he's going to have to manage this to perfection to the end of the race. I'm super excited for him. I know him personally, and I do also know he's a Kiwi, so go Campbell Knowles right now. I'm all behind you. Usually we don't show our bias, so you certainly haven't so far, but I've been tactically putting you in positions that you can go racing with your teammate instead of being in the commentary box for those races, which we have done in previous seasons, where you've miraculously been able to give us a pit lane analysis while driving the car.
Yeah, I do enjoy those ones. But yeah, it's good to be commentating with you, George, with these other drivers in the other lobby, and of course, there's more surprises that way, isn't there? It's like a box of chocolate. You never know what you're going to get when you watch a race like this that you haven't been involved in yourself.
Exactly right, and I think that's the way that we like it, and that translates, of course, to you, ladies and gentlemen, who are viewing today. I tell you what, fantastic to have you in here on chat for both the MotorMotion E-Series YouTube channel and, of course, the TrackSpot TV YouTube channel. Big thanks to our sponsor of the series for TCR Cup. It is Mercury Walch. Go check them out. www.mercurywalch.com.au. Go check out MotorMotion E-Series. Certainly one of the top, if not the top, GT7 league in Oceania. The racing here is absolutely brilliant, and we always are excited to get into the commentary box and bring these races to life. They don't actually need a lot of help because they're already well alive. Go to www.motormotioneseries.wordpress.com. Get yourself signed up because GT3 Championship, which is the final series of the year at MotorMotion E-Series, is just around the corner. We're 7 weeks out from the start of that, and I'm super excited. Can't wait to see what small, slight changes are coming to the format for this next season of GT3 Championship. It's going to be super exciting, but we refocus now on what we've got ahead of us, and that is the rest of the TCR Cup. Legendary Berry in the pits again. So may have been more damage he needed to repair. He's having a shocker, and it's one of those situations, Ando. You never like to have a race like that, but we've all had one at least once.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with him. I think that might be his 3rd or 4th pit stop. So, well, having a shock is an understatement for that poor guy today. But I'm told it might be called into the principal's office too later on for that incident with Aussie Heat that caused Aussie Heat damage. So, yeah, all in all, not a great race for Legendary, but my credit to him for finishing off the race. We don't like rage quitters in GT7 community at all, do we?
No. I think it's just one of those things. The honourable thing is to finish the race. I mean, I understand. I've had situations where I've gone, it's all over. I don't care anymore. Blah, blah, blah. But a little voice inside my head just says, just reach the finish line. Just make it to the finish line. And it actually does make you feel just a little bit better about what's happened in this race. Oh, Graham Splint taking an awfully wide line. He's got damage. That's the reason. He doesn't really want any part of this. He's not actually able to really fight that. No, it's going to be close, though. Wow, CB Motorsports Blue Dog does actually want to defend. He missed the braking zone, went wide through the left-hander. Up the hill, he said, no, I'm not going to let you through, Mr. Airborne. You are going to have to wait and find another way past. And Airborne, I don't know how he avoided contact there.
Yeah, elbows out moment there, that's for sure. But rightly so, because this could be an actual race for position come the end of the race. We've got 2 different strategies here. So these guys, they are racing for position. There's no blue flags there, George. So well within his rights to get his elbows out like he did.
Certainly, and well done both of them for not making contact through that very tricky uphill and downhill S's. I love that part of the circuit, really, really flowing through Sector 3 into those downhill curves, corners, I should say, where things just get extra, extra spicy, extra, extra fun. And Blue Dog is trying to fight here, but not the smoothest transit through those couple of corners. Oh, that's a very wide line for Graham Splint, and that's obviously as a result of the damage that he's got on board. He's just not able to really get the car turned in as he would have liked. He's going to try and defend the inside through this part of the circuit as we head through the timing line, and they're losing a lot of time, of course, as a result of this, but Airborne does make the move happen, does keep it held around the outside line and slots in ahead of Blue Dog. Blue Dog will have a little bit of slipstream here, but that damage, it does so much to the car, Endo.
Yeah, he's got suspension and aero, so he was a sitting duck, even to a one stopper. But yeah, interestingly, we see Blue Dog on the mediums, but doing a two stopper. So these are the drivers that I was talking about. They're at the back of the field. They're unfortunately struggling with their tyre wear to such a point where they have to not only, do the two stop, but they have to, run the mediums during that two stop, which is obviously not ideal. But I will say in Aussie Heat, in Blue Dog's defence, I think he got caught up with some shenanigans earlier on in the first stint, didn't he?
He certainly did. I mean, CP Motorsports were doing some interesting team strategy, and Legendary Berry, with his mistake early on, sent himself to the back of the grid, and then as he came back on through, there was some contact. So not the cleanest of races at the bottom of the grid at the moment. Now we see Jansen, Spark, and Troy Britnell coming on in. Short middle stint for Jansen.
Yeah, he's got a bit of a fuel advantage, but we see Airborne crossing the line now, the one-stopper. He's going to inherit second place, and it will be first place on the next lap, and it's going to be a case of catch me if I can, after Faf, the leader, now makes his pit stop, which I'm pretty sure will be on this lap. So there goes Airborne. He's released into what is effectively the net lead of the race, and let's see if all those two stoppers behind him can reel him in.
Oh, this is going to be a fantastic end to the race. Nick Pfaff will probably pit this next lap, and Tom Hanks maybe even waiting in the pit lane, trying to chase Airborne down as well. He's the man to catch at the minute. Has he done enough? Has it been consistent enough? Does a personal best first sector. Tyres still looking good, fuel looking good. He's got to manage these resources to perfection, and we know that Nick Pfaff, if he's able to put in a couple of 58s, he is going to be catching up rapidly the man ahead. So the key thing is going to be when Pfaff pits, which I believe he's just coming into the pits now, there is a lot of track for Camel Knowles to transit before he gets anywhere close to the pit exit.
Yeah, so his lead's not going to be great. It's not going to be huge, and I doubt it's going to be enough, to be honest, George, because Pfaff, who has indeed come into the pits, has been setting mid to low 59s consistently for his whole stint. So that is pretty rapid pace. And he's now only got a short 7-lap stint to go to the finish. So he doesn't have to worry about that front right tyre near as much as his rivals. And he is most definitely in the box seat to take the win here as we go on into the last third of this race.
That's right. We'll see if Jansen is able to recapture second or second place away from Airborne, assuming that Airborne is not able to have the lead that he needs to. He's coming around the last corner right now onto the main straight, 40 litres of fuel on board for Nick Pfaff, and this is the pain right now. Nick Pfaff is going to watch Camel Knowles, who was right beside him at the beginning of this race, come on by after he probably stopped worrying about Camel Knowles for some time. Nick Pfaff is only going to take 72 litres though, so yeah, there we go. He can see him going through turn one. Pfaff comes out of the pits. He'll be absolutely rapid in the last stint of this race. Jansen coming in actually with a reasonably large gap there. So Jansen never really regained the time that he lost to Nick Pfaff. Hasn't had the consistent pace that he needs to. Rusty Nuts Racing and of course Spark in the car today for this team. Got a gap as well, so that hasn't worked out for him either, and I get the feeling this is a bit of a muted last battle for the P2, P3 spot. I don't know if Spark's going to have the pace to catch up to Jansen, who'll probably be going full broke at the end of this race, as will Pfaff, and the gap, I think it's probably going to be enough, but Airborne could still retain a top three easily, I think.
Yeah, Faf's definitely come out there well within pouncing different distance of Airborne. But Jansen and Spark, I'm not so sure. So Airborne could be sitting pretty here for a podium and maybe even a P2.
I'm really excited. This is great. It's great to see when the alternative strategy that is probably not the optimum strategy start to work. And what it comes down to is consistency. It comes down to the practice, or consistency is he does put the car slightly into the wall on the exit of that corner. But that'll be as a result of the tyres. They'll start to go off. He needs to adjust to that. But I think we can unequivocally say, Ando, that Airborne has been very, very consistent out there. Look at these lap times. They're excellent.
Yeah, he's definitely racing to a number, and he's done his practice, he's done his homework. His team has put him onto this strategy, and they're having a real crack at it. But I see here he's doing 2 minute point 7 last lap. Let's see what this lap is, and we'll compare it another 2 minute point 7. So there's your consistency right there. Faf's got him in his sights. I don't think he's going to be able to hold off Faf. But let's have a look at Jansen. He's the whole length of the main straight behind Faf almost. So Airborne's got a lot more of a comfort zone back to third place right now. And there goes Jansen. He's just done a 2 minute point 0. So, he's going to have to pick up the pace a bit. He's going to have to get well into the 59s if he wants to have any chance of catching Airborne for P2.
Yeah, 7 laps to go in this race, and I think that gap is a little bit bigger than 7 seconds. So, Spark is staring down the barrel of a P4 finish at the moment, given where things are at. I mean, he's going to need to be getting, a second and a bit per lap on Airborne. He's kind of done that. He's done a second per lap at the moment. Jansen's only done 0.7 on Airborne. And Nick Pfaff, well, we'll see what his kind of times are once he comes across the timing line for the rest for this lap. Airborne, if he's consistent, that's the staple point right here. 2 minute 7s all the way through the last couple of laps. If he can keep it consistent, I think he will have second place, which is exactly where he started. So despite being absolutely eaten up, he may have done enough through this race to get that P2, which will be a fantastic success.
Yeah, maybe, George, maybe. I'm very, very concerned for his front right tyre. I really am. So I don't think this lap's going to be a 2 minute point 7. Let's put it that way. And he's got 5 laps to go. So here we go. Here starts the tyre drop-off journey, and it's going to be painful for him. And he's just going to have to be, he might have to get his elbows out. It might come down to the last corner. Who knows? Let's see what happens with Jansen and maybe even Spark being able to reel him in and overtake him, because here we go. He's done a 2 minute point 6. My goodness, he is laying down the gauntlet to these guys. He's saying, catch me if you can. He is the rabbit here. He's the hare. And the greyhounds behind have got their work cut out. Oh, he runs into the grass. So unfortunately, Airborne, he just made a boo-boo there through the first section. He's now got dirty tyres. I don't know if you were on board with him then, George, or not. But I was watching another screen there and saw that he had a moment. So that's going to cost him dearly. He's 7/10 down on his personal best through the first sector. Not the end of the world there for his pace. He got lucky. He's got no damage. He didn't clip the wall. He kept the car pointed straight, and he recovered brilliantly.
The calm serenity of seeing a personal best lap across the entire race come up on your screen, and then a corner later to run it onto the grass. The nightmare that turns into not a fun thing to experience as a racing driver at all. Obviously we were going to see Pfaff catch up anyway. This has just expedited the inevitable, unfortunately. In terms of Jansen, he's halfway down the back straight right now. Still a lot of work to do to catch up, and we are starting to run out of laps rapidly. So 1.1 seconds down at the moment, so he's going to be hovering around a 2:01.7 if he finishes this lap with this current delta, assuming it doesn't get any worse. Might improve in the last sector, but he really needs to be careful. He can't push it too hard. Just because he's got Nick Pfaff behind him, surely Campbell Knowles has realised the inevitable is in his rear mirror.
Yeah, if I was him, I'd be taking my medicine. I wouldn't be fighting Pfaff here. I'd let him by, slip in behind him, enjoy his slip for a corner or two, and then focus on the cars behind. because I tell you what, George, your Jansons and your Sparks, they're going to have their tyre issues at the end of this stint as well. So their lap times are going to be dropping off. Airborne has got a real chance here of a P2.
This is fantastic. I mean, yeah, if he's managed to pull off this P2 with a one-stopper, then we kind of, at the beginning of the race, we were kind of thinking, like, Jansen and Spark, it's all up to them. I mean, they're in the box seat. They managed to get through Camel Knowles with relative ease. And here we go. Oh, it's getting closer. The Greyhounds are smelling blood in the air at the moment, and Airborne is probably going to have to concede this corner. Yeah, it looks like that's going to be a relatively easy overtake. Not the cleanest, though, from Nick Pfaff, have to admit. Could have been a lot cleaner. I mean, Camel Knowles gave him the space, but had to turn in at some point. It's a notorious corner for going into the wall if you're on the outside line.
Yeah, Pfaff he missed the apex there. He ran a bit wide, so a little bit untidy there from one of the more accomplished drivers. But, Airborne, he got his elbows, I won't say got his elbows up, but he said, come on, mate, what are you doing here? Let's swap some paint here. I need to be a bit further over to the right, mate. I've given you a lane. Why don't you use it? That was good to see, but they avoided disaster. It was just a little bit of rubbins racing. I'm sure nothing will come of that.
No, that's a racing incident. These things do happen. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're overtaking, you can see the driver has given you space, and whatever your speed through the corner, inevitably you're going to get it, because especially in that part of the track, it turns into the inside line into that corner where Pfaff did the overtake, does turn into the inside corner yet again, and then you've got the outside wide run through the corner onto the main straight. And if you've got the better tyre, which he does, you're going to have the grip, you're going to make the overtake. So there was no urgency in that at all. But these things happen as well. Pfaff is not infallible. None of us are infallible, and small mistakes do creep in. But yeah, racing incident, can't see anything else coming of that. Let's go around the grid and get a little bit of an update. Jansen coming around the last corner as the leading pack does barrel now into corner one. Spark behind him, not making as much progress as he needs. So lap times right now, 1:59.4 turns into a 2-minute 0.5 for Jansen. Spark doing a 2-minute 0.6. And across the line, what's it going to be? It's going to be another 2 minutes. So neither of these guys have got the pace. I just don't see it happening. We've got 3 laps left in this race. They do not have the pace right now.
Maybe, not quite, but this is where it starts to cross over. Like, there is a 2-second differential in the lap times here between Airborne and the 2 drivers behind him. But yeah, that might not be enough. That's only 4 seconds. I think they're more than 4 seconds behind. I think Airborne, he's pulled a rabbit out of his hat, George.
Wonderful. Love seeing drivers put on their magician's hat, get the wand out and start performing tricks. And today the one-stopper has been the trick. Chris Farapapa got driver of the day as a result of it in Lobby 1, despite the excellent performances of those around him. Just came out of the woodwork and did incredibly well to get 5th position. Camel Knowles is, I think, on for something very, very similar. We've got to take nothing away from Nick Pfaff. He's driven the race he needed to drive. And he's executed the strategy well, and the gap that he built over the other 2 stoppers is very impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. Pfaff driving the wheels off the car today. He's on the record as saying he's not enjoying this series. He doesn't like the car in particular, and he has struggled to get it, where he wants it. But it looks like today he's got it pretty much on a string, hasn't he? And he's going to win this one quite easily, I'd say. And good on him for sticking with it, seeing out the series, and he's got the old the polish out. He polished that. I won't say it.
No, don't say it. He polished his race strategy very nicely today, let's put it that way.
Yes.
The car's looking extra shiny. And of course, we'll see him back for round 7 for the endurance round, where Asta Racing will be in the same lobby as the likes of CP Motorsports, Lightning Motorsports, Cooke, Team Capital, and Jamco Racing. So that'll be a great endurance to watch. I think actually we won't be broadcasting that one because that is Lobby 1. We do alternating broadcasts. So Lobby 2 is who we will be watching. So while I eventually get my words out. And that will be Black Rose Racing, Gridline, Hassel 1, Mad Turtle, Rusty Nuts, and Team 55. So that should be a very exciting endurance round at Dragon Trail Gardens Reverse as I understand it. Not often we see gardens, not often we see a reverse track.
No, and it's a tire shredder as well, just to throw a little bit of another spanner in the works. So yeah, not my favourite track, George. Not a lot of lap times I've done there, but we're all just going to have to uh, sort of make do. We're going to have to try, and I think it's going to involve quite a little bit of tuning setup changes for that track, especially when there's the chance of some rain.
Well, that's right, and of course, it's not one that has a lot of long straights. So it's got the back straight, which is relatively long, but there's a lot of high-speed corners that you're going to need to be probably doing a little bit of setup change just to handle, especially the S's section. I think you do it going uphill, the S's section on the reverse track. I have to remind myself, because we don't often see gardens on calendars, whether or not it's obviously not a favorite of people out there. Dragon Trails is one of those rounds where you usually see the seaside track, and Death Chicane seems to be chosen by league admins out of some sort of sadistic desire to see people crash into the wall, from what I can tell. We obviously love it in the commentary box because it does provide us a lot of entertainment. We go on board every single time we get to Death Chicane, scroll through the pack, see who makes a mistake. There's usually one per lap. So always full of entertainment. But as a driver, I absolutely despise going to the seaside. We are now on the fastest, sorry, not the fastest lap, the final lap of this race as I try and remove myself from the Death Chicane, or as John Wright puts it, the Death Chicken, because it definitely does take a lot of courage to get through there at full speed. Troy Britnell still holding on to 5th place at the moment. Then it's the CP Motorsports cars in 6th and 7th, and Legendary Berry at the back of the grid, and I believe now possibly a lap down on the field. So not his race today. Oh, so unstable. He doesn't feel at home with this at all. And Legendary Berry is someone who we know has got plenty of pace on him. So this track he might not gel with. He might not have raced it that much. There's all sorts of stuff that can come into this, and you can see in the background a car catching up. So blue flags for him, unfortunately, in this race. But it is going to be Nick Pfaff winning this race by any mistake. And there's Airborne. You know, we thought it might have been a bit of jeopardy in this Ando, but turns out he's absolutely nailed it.
Yeah, it's not over yet, as he goes 1.6 seconds down in the first sector, and he's on an absolutely dead front right tyre. So, he's nowhere near the first sector. That's the second sector. So he's virtually pulled it off. So he's done really well, as Jansen, who's on much fresher soft tyres and going a lot faster, is just too far behind to do anything about it. And we see Airborne here pulling off the miracle one-stopper. Good on him.
Good on him indeed. Nick Pfaff takes the checkered flag, and that is it. He has done enough. And a 1:58.914 fastest lap won't count for any points, but on the 21st lap with worn tyres, well done to him. Campbell Knowles, take a bow. The one-stopper executed to perfection. Jansen didn't have the pace, but he will be on the podium today for Mad Turtle Racing. That is one of a few podiums only for Mad Turtle Racing this season, and he has been an absolute star so far. Spark, of course, in 4th place, and then it'll be Troy Britnell in 5th. Now we're going to go cut over now to our race results. See you in a second. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. 52 points for Nick Pfaff and Asta Racing. Good result for the team and for him as a driver. He is in there in 3rd place, I believe, in the Drivers' Championship. So this is no small thing. A good win today. The standout, though, it's P2. It's Campbell Knowles for Team 55. 46 points to his name. And that one-stopper was absolutely sublime. Great work by him. Lyle Rensburg couldn't keep up. We know Jansen's got pace, but wasn't able to really show it or extract it from the car today, unfortunately. Nick Roberts in 4th place for Rusty Nuts Racing, one of his best results of the season. Did execute things well overall. Didn't have the overall race pace, but still, a 4th place. Very, very good points for him. Troy Britnell, the team captain for Team 55, running 2 teams technically this season. 40 points for him. 5th place, great finish for Troy Britnell. And Graham Splint for CP Motorsports in 6th position. Not a full grid out there, unfortunately, today. We had 4 drivers unable to make it onto the grid. So we hope to see all of those drivers able to make it back for the endurance round in a week's time. Ando, I'm going to throw it over to you. summarize this race. It was great execution on the one-stopper, and let's talk driver of the day.
Yeah, I don't know. Did he get the trifecta, Nick Pfaff?
Yes,
That's
he did.
usually good enough. That's usually good enough for driver of the day. But you know what? I'm going to have to go against tradition, and I'm giving it to Campbell Knowles, honourably airborne there, pulling off the one stopper and getting P2. My hats off to him. That was really well done. That was not easy to do, but he did it. So he's my driver of the day.
Fantastic. Well, I think yet again we're going to have a unanimous decision in the comms box. So round 6 is clearly the miracle round today. Campbell Knowles. Look, Nick Pfaff did really, really well. Great race. At the end of the day, he's the fastest driver out of the grid. We know he is. We expect him to get the trifecta in a race like this. Campbell Knowles, though, the P2 qualifying was excellent. He's turned an alternative strategy that was really kind of thrown out the window by most of the drivers in round 6, and he's turned it into a P2. So P2 on the grid starting, and P2 at the checkered flag. Really, really well done. So driver of the day nomination, 100% Campbell Knowles. Let us know in chat who your driver of the day is, and that is going to round out Lobby 2 coverage today. Ando, yet again, a pleasure to have you in the commentary box. The insight, obviously, partly drawn from the fact that you are racing in this series with your Cooke team, chasing a 4th title championship. Absolutely brilliant work as co-commentator once again today, and I'm sure everyone in chat will appreciate the insights you're bringing.
Thank you, sir. And I'm off to the bar to celebrate my victory.
Fantastic.
Well, my team's victory.
Yeah, absolutely right. I will probably join you down there at some point. I want to kind of avoid the position of bias. Don't want to show anything in terms of bias in the commentary box. But nonetheless, massive congratulations to your team today. And we will see you back for round 7, though you won't be on the broadcast. But big thanks to yourself, Andrew. Been an absolute pleasure. Right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to round out the stream. We'll take you to the final results in a moment's time. See you over there. Well, that is it. Round 6 now complete, and the American leg of the TCR Cup is well and done. It's behind us. Now we move to the European leg, where we're going to go to round 7 for Dragon Trails Gardens. We'll talk more about that in a moment's time. The most important thing is the 10-point lead Ryan Spann now has for Cooke in the driver's standings. 10 points clear of Scott Taylor for Gridline Racing. That 0.5-second penalty is going to come back to haunt him. We absolutely know it. 14 points back further is Nick Pfaff with a win today in Lobby 2 for Astor Racing on 322 points, followed by Mark Pacheco for Gridline Racing, 306, and not out of this yet. Campbell Knowles with a P2 finish today, Team 55, and has elevated himself above Luke Stone to 296 points. Luke Stone in P6 on 290. Matthew Joinson, Lyle Rensburg, Michael Brill, Chris Fadababa, Troy Britnell, and Andrew Scott, the remainder of the top 12. In the team's title, it is Gridline Racing, and this is where things are getting even more spicy. It's a 10-point gap in the driver's title. It's 14 points now in the team's title, and Gridline Racing are holding on at the moment, but they need more wins under their belt. Can they stop the drive of Cooke developing behind them? 635 points for them. Then it's Team 55 launching themselves up 2 points clear of Lightning Motorsport, Team Capital, and Astor Racing, your top 6. Then it is Mad Turtle Racing, Rusty Nuts Racing, Hassel One Motorsports, CP Motorsports, Black Rose Racing, and the brand new Jamco Racing coming in at 12th place. That is the remainder of your top 12. Looking forward, of course, that was round 6 today. Enduro round for round 7 as we head to Dragon Trail Gardens to begin the European leg and the final leg of this calendar. 4 rounds to go. A 90-minute timed race for your viewing pleasure next week. Then we're heading to Nürburgring, Lake Maggiore, and final round will be at Catalunya for a 24-lap race in 4 weeks' time. A massive thanks to our sponsors, Mercury Walch, proudly sponsoring MotorMotion E-Series TCR Cup. Check them out, www.mercurywalch.com.au. Big thanks to MotorMotion E-Series. Check them out, of course, www.motormotioneseries.wordpress.com. Trackspot TV, proudly bringing you the broadcasting today. It's been myself, George Cooke, Andrew Scott, and Nick Pautasso in the commentary box. We thank you. Have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you for the next race.